Ready?
Yep.
Start recording. Are we streaming yet?
Yes.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
Welcome to the Beige Hour. Welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
All right. We're back. PSA at work. Corporate generated propaganda that I set on my bench on break and watch about the dangers of marijuana. I'm trying to I can't recall because it looked like just a fancy PowerPoint presentation. It was one of those kind of presentations, but it had a narration. Marijuana is a Schedule 1 narcotic recognized by the government as, you know, causing all kinds of problems. And then it says, here's one of the problems with marijuana at work. And the one that stood out to me was like lowers morale. It's like opposite is like you're the one lowering morale with this, you know, sword of Damocles over our head all the time that, you know, we're all gonna get fucked. But yeah, I was just sitting there watching that every break about there. I mean, they're just pushing.
Mellow's your eventual doom. You should be scared more often.
Yeah. We want our employees to be healthy and happy. Oh, do you? As indicated by, but yeah, I just thought it was funny, the whole they're really against it at work. I mean, the legalized marijuana here, oh, they are so against it. It's like.
But the pill pushing in the bathrooms, that's totally fine.
Oh, they're not okay with that. They're just not putting out PSAs, homebrew PSAs about.
If somebody reaches under the stall to hand you a pill, you say no.
Yeah.
No, thank you, sir. I'm high
But
on
I
life.
want to help the local business, man. In the gig economy, drug dealer is a great job.
Yes. This is all part of small business in the future of America. But yeah, I was watching that, and it's like, I love the dual reality that we live in. Like, because they had some guys on there, like they had some, you know, some union guys providing narration, some company guys talking about the dangers of marijuana. It's like, there's like 50 people in the parking lot getting high right now. It's like, who are you talking to? Your insurance company is who you're talking to, but it was so funny. It's like, this is a dire time for us. Now that people can smoke the devil's weed. And at the end, it was like, we only comply with federal law. It's like, so you don't comply to any state laws at all. Huh? You're just libertarian entities.
I always like in the military, all the like anti-drug PSA stuff, because then you learned about drugs you didn't even know about.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing. Like, oh yeah, it's like because it's a bunch of young guys in the military and they just like have so many new drugs come in all the time. It's like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, who's doing that, and where do you get it?
I think there was one. It used to be at hookah shops, or maybe it's still legal. It was like called Spice, and you would smoke it in like a hookah pipe or something like that, and get you high somehow. And it's like, Spice is now illegal in the military.
Oh, what was the thing that people were smoking and eating somebody else's face off, and they were having these psychotic?
Well, that's bath salts, but well, it was two different things. There's synthetic marijuana and there's bath salts, but like there's
also some other weird fucking thing that makes people like instantaneously for like 10 seconds do weird random shit and then return to sanity. So
And I forget the whole thing because like that threw off a lot of people because you call it synthetic marijuana, but like I forget. There's something I looked into it and somebody described what it was, and it's basically like, oh, this is just a drug that's like attempting to do the same thing that marijuana does, but it's basically just a human experimentation device. It might as well just be LSD.
Oh, okay.
It's not really marijuana.
Yeah, it's not. It's synthetic drugs. Is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I thought bath salts when I first heard that. I thought they were literally like people were going to Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah.
To make crack out of it. Like what? And then I found, oh no, that's like the street name. Oh, even dumber than I thought.
Yeah. It's like, oh, a new the new Whippets. Just get some bath salts and snort those.
Himalayan crystals. Gotta smoke that pink, yo.
Just
But
some
no.
just some Krylon in a paper bag.
Yeah. The old Krylon. How many kids melted their brains out of their ears doing that? Gotta get the thick freezer bags. They hold up the longest under chemical assault of whatever, toluene based nonsense you're inhaling. Good times.
Yeah, there's something weird that Jeff Gersman said from Giant Bomb about like it was a vaporized alcohol. So you inhale like vodka or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then they put like a winter coat on you, like that's a part of the experience.
I didn't know
And it
about
does something like that, so you like inhale vodka while wearing a really like insulating coat for some reason.
Oh, I knew people in the 90s where like grandpa had not our grandpa, but generically somebody's grandpa had a breathing machine at home. And they would put like whiskey and stuff. After he died, they just kept the machine. And this was like a big tabletop console model. Like this was a huge old stuff. And yeah, they'd put whiskey in it or something. Just like that much, like very couple cc's, you'd be fucked up because it just go into your lungs and immediately hit your bloodstream.
Yeah.
And I was just, and they were like, you should try it. I was like, no. I said, what do you guys calibrate? You always have these questions of calibration, and it's like, how do you know how much to put in there? Like if 2 cc's of whiskey or whatever is if you're like bomb, it's like, what are you basing that on? Like, you could be close to blood poisoning for all you know. And oh, shut up, It's just, well, you're just bringing it down. It's like, no, it looks fun, but I don't want to die. I have questions.
The other weird legal party thing I heard of was oxygen bars, where they just have like tubes of oxygen and you just suck the oxygen.
Oh, it's 100% oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, help oxygenate your blood.
That's
really be in the moment.
Those guys on Night Fight do that.
Oh yeah.
They'll have the oxygen bottle that's shaped like a mouthpiece, and they'll hold it over their mouth and press the button. And yeah, because I was wondering like, what is that? And I looked it up on the internet while we were watching the show. And my son watched that this week.
Yeah.
And he says he wants to quit football now. He's found is being the what's it called? Armored Combat League. Like, yeah, good luck. Those guys are fucking winded after 10 seconds, so good luck with that. And then you just see them, swinging maces and hitting some guy right in the head. It's like, you don't want to do this. Or maybe you do. I don't know. But yeah, that's hitting that pure oxygen gets you back in the game sooner. It's like, did the Mongols do that?
Well, that was like basically what we're learning essentially what energy drinks are, because like there was stuff like to like really exhausted athletes, like they do like a saline drip on them. It's like, yeah, let's get it back in, but also they do like a B12 shot, and then also just caffeine, because that's essentially what energy drink is. It's just a bunch of B vitamins and caffeine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sugar.
Yeah, but really all it needs is B12 and some caffeine.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's Especially if you drink NOS, that has like 5 or 6 different B vitamins and a bunch of other shit in it, like fake caffeine, real caffeine,
Yeah.
substitute caffeine.
Fake caffeine?
Well, like caffeine replacement, like taurine, that's like works like
Oh.
caffeine, but it's not caffeine. And
Taurine, guarana, whatever the fuck those are.
Yeah.
I'll
Sometimes
tell you something about taurine. It has a very interesting interaction with Nexium. if you can just get like a pill of Nexium and like the capsules and just put the powder out and pour a Red Bull in it, you'll see something really cool. It's like forms a solid for a second.
I can't. What's Nexium do again? I can't remember what.
It's a proton inhibitor for digestive problems.
Oh, okay.
I used to take all that shit. I quit. I just realized, oh, I can chew licorice root and like don't eat a giant pizza and go lay down immediately. Like, hey, I don't have GERD anymore. It's because I don't eat 2 hours before bed. Does proton inhibitors also block your body's ability to absorb calcium or something? They're not good. You need calcium when you get to my advanced age. Becomes a problem.
Yeah, your 27th birthday really hit you hard.
That was the turning point where it all went south.
No, it was
The wall.
no. Sorry, I was gonna just say a joke really quick before we got into politics, which we usually do. The guy that makes like the real life Chevy commercials and stuff like that has this channel. I think it's like Zebra Media or something like that on YouTube.
Okay.
Like he had a Gillette ad, or he covered the Gillette ad today, the controversial Gillette ad, and he gets to the part where the man stops the other guy in the street from hitting on a woman or whatever, so he like blocks his friend off or whatever, and he's like, whoa, 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 you can't just approach a lady in public nowadays. That's not how it works. You gotta swipe right on her half-naked pictures on social media and send her a dick pic.
Treat her with respect. Because the digital representation of your penis is much less offensive.
Then you coming up in public and saying like, hey, would you like to go out sometime? Oh, you monster.
Would you like to have coffee? My dick's gonna come into this later. Out coffee. I never got the guys that were like the exposing guys. It's like, did that ever work? Was there ever a time when a woman was like, a penis? Oh my god! And she just falls to her knees? Like, that never happens. Why?
I mean, yeah, for women who are mentally ill in some way, yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah, crazy.
but for like normal women, no.
Guys are still doing it though. Just whipping it out. Like, what? What are you doing?
Because they know, I don't know. It's like a mirroring thing. It's like, I know what I like. Just send me all the tits and pussy pics. It's like, well, she'll like, if I just do the same thing I would want to her, like, this is a reciprocation. It's like, no.
My question is, what would happen if you sent a girl a dick pic and then she sent you one back?
All right.
Just go with it.
It's bigger than mine.
Just send back the text all in.
How
ride this pony to death.
How long would it take you to respond to that? Like,
Anymore. Like,
It's either immediately or never. Yeah. There's no middle ground.
like you look at the picture of her standing there with this huge slong, and like something unlocks in your brain, like your head turns sideways, like a dog that's curious, and then either you go one way or another, but you never come back. After you sleep with a chick who has like a 9-inch slong, it's just it's not gonna be the same.
No. So, when you guys were talking about that, I just immediately thought, like, yeah, what would happen if somebody sent you a dick pic? Because there's been random jokes and, like, posts on Reddit, just people being fucking idiots, where this one guy's having a conversation with his friend, and he's trying to talk to this girl and, get a date with her, or, hook up with her, or whatever. It's like, oh, man, what do I do? What do I do? And it's like, send a dick pic or whatever. He's like, why do I need to send a dick pic to you? And he's like, no to her, you idiot. And it's like,
Well, okay. I guess.
or
Yeah,
just,
that's something I never. That whole world just never entered into mine.
Well, I mean, plus
I've never seen a picture of my genitals in my life. Not once.
well, plus we're all old enough.
But the
that-
richest man in the world did.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Jeff Bezos is getting supposedly suing the Inquirer over or whatever the
Did you
blackmail
see the
thing.
New York Post headline on that?
No.
No.
Because Jeff Bezos went public, and the guy who owns the National Enquirer is named David Pecker. And the title of the New York Post article was Bezos exposes Pecker. It was like, wow, how meta is that? 3-dimensional, right there.
It's, yeah, it's the flat circle right there.
Yep. Time is just a flat circle. Jeff Bezos' Pecker. Yeah, so that was interesting.
Because that's what a woman
Yes.
wants to see is a 60-year-old man's dick in a picture.
Well, I mean, if he has $160 trillion, you know, maybe.
Well, I mean, is there a stack of cash next to the dick, or his bank statement, something to imply wealth?
That'd be cool if Jeff Bezos just was all in for thug life in his private life. He'd buy a pool table with stacks of powder and money. Acting wearing big gold chains and acting like a hood, and then when he gives speeches in public, he's like, "Hi, I want to make the world a better place," and he's got this whole YouTube, just piles of cash and cocaine and pitbull.
I mean, if Jeff Bezos is going to hand out money for his dick pics, I'll look at one for a minute for a couple grand.
There's not.
I'll stare at it for a good 2 minutes.
About to make a human-computer interaction joke, but nobody's going to get it. It was the new Amazon Mechanical Turk test.
I mean, is that how you get Prime for free for a year now? You look at his dick pic and then
Nah,
gives you free shipping?
there's almost no way you guys are. Have you ever heard of Amazon Mechanical Turk?
No.
I know the Turk was like a chess-playing automaton.
Well, that was
I don't actually know where the name comes from. I just know that's what it's
Okay.
called.
No, what is it?
So you can sign up. So it's a thing that Amazon does, and you can sign up for it and basically make money at home, but not a lot.
Okay.
And essentially, it's a bunch of it's sort of like, how would you call it? It's like studies, but about human-computer interaction. So it's like they'll have like mock-up websites, and you'll have to like try to like, you know, put something in the shopping cart, shit like that. And like it'll take you like 5 minutes, and they'll give you 5 cents.
Okay.
And like they just have like thousands of studies going on, and like bigger you have to like qualify for bigger studies, but you can make more money depending on like how long it takes or how much funding the study has. But yeah, that's a thing you can that Amazon has.
So you can add to the downfall of the human race for 5 cents.
Yeah. Help obsolete yourself.
For a nickel? Holy shit.
Well, obsolescence is forever. This is now.
That's perfect.
But no, it's just... I guess I know that existed. I know that whole thing about, like, you clicking on stuff and, like, either taking a survey or test or something for money has existed for a while. I guess I know Amazon was doing that.
Yeah, this is specifically for... because anybody can, like, put forth a study. Well, I'm not sure if anybody. You'd have to, like, sign up with Amazon. But it's done through Amazon. And it's all about finding, like, what people will do. Like, when confronted with some sort of website or whatever, you have to do a thing. And just, like, studying people to, like, you know... Because, I mean, people are pretty used to, like, Androids and iOS and all that stuff now. But, like, imagine if there was a fucking completely new operating system that was like had things that were better, but like nobody knew how to use it. And this is where you figure out, well, like, you know, all right, where are the failings at? And so you'd like put out this study to try to find out. But usually, and then like it depends on who actually signs up for it, because like people sign up for this, They probably know a lot about technology, so you're probably not going to get a lot of good information about your average user.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because it's very good for like developing software and making things streamlined and easier and creating new ideas. But also, like I said before, it's just like sell out the human race for 5 cents.
Well,
Show us
it's
how
just
you
like
think so
any.
we can trick you easy.
It's just like any other study. It's just done
I know.
with a computer. I mean, this, like, that's what they say about college. Like a lot of studies, the most studies are done with college students. So it's actually a lot of studies aren't telling. All it's telling you about is mostly middle class white kids from America. That's what most studies are based on.
Above average intelligence that are going to college. It's
Yes.
Like, this is what they can do.
Yes.
It's like, no, I want to introduce you to a whole set of people, i.e. my friends and coworkers. This is really what people can do. Some of these guys can barely figure out how to use sticks to get ants out of an anthill, much like an aardvark. But what do we want to talk about? We'll talk about podcast world news.
What happened in the podcast world?
Well, you know, Joe Rogan and Alex Jones are on the outs now.
I didn't know they were on the ends.
Well, I mean, they've always kind of been friends, and then the Sandy Hook thing sort of put Rogan off. And then Joe Rogan had the guy who founded Twitter on. I don't know if you've heard about that disaster.
No.
Yeah, he had the guy who founded Twitter, the CEO of Twitter, on his podcast, and they basically had kind of a rangy conversation, but I guess because Joe Rogan didn't really dig into him about why all these characters that are getting banned off of Twitter are, I guess he wasn't aggressive enough with him, and Alex Jones basically came out and said, well, you know, he's part of George Soros's world now. Joe Rogan and George Soros are like, they read off the same script and all the yeah, and then he said on politically what did Alex Jones say? I'm gonna gut Joe Rogan like a pig politically. You know, he's just he's the voice of this evil force that's taking over the country. You know, I mean, anytime you make enemies with Alex Jones, you're part of some conspiracy. Yeah, so it's been a pretty rough week for Joe Rogan, and it's been a pretty rough year for Alex Jones. And I thought that was interesting because he didn't go after the CEO of Twitter hard enough. His alt-right fans.
Because people expect hard journalism out of Joe Rogan.
Actually, well, he gets more views than some legitimate, like major journalistic things.
No, I think I don't like. Joe pretty much lets every one of his guests run over him. It's like, here's my platform. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah,
to everyone.
That's why it's fun to listen to, because you know you're not going to listen to a fucking fight. Like, if I want to listen to two people shout, I just go hang out with my wife and my son and let them argue about something. It's like, that's kind of the fun of Joe Rogan. But he has a fan base that thinks, like, you know, he should just go hard against and he said it wasn't a good podcast. He's like, yeah, it was kind of boring and stupid, but he got a lot of negative blowback, and then of course Alex Jones attacked him, and then that becomes
if you're getting your news from Joe Rogan's podcast, you're doing something wrong with your life.
Oh, this is just all that internet shit that everyone. I just listen to the show. I don't go on the chat boards. I don't go on Reddit and type in my 2 cents. But yeah, these people.
Why does this company that is meant to make money, that has a social media platform, why do they have all the power in the world to block my freedom of speech?
Yeah, it's those arguments. It's like, just don't go to those things.
Well, then we can have the government. We can have a government made Twitter that you can't actually censor in any way.
But we'll watch everything you do and record. Well, okay, it's kind of already going on anyway.
Yeah.
But that was it's been an interesting
or you know,
week off.
Alex Jones can build his own network of his own network throughout America and the world, and he can own it, and he can build his own media platform, and he can control it all.
You think he could? I mean, you think he could raise enough money? He has enough followers.
Yeah, I got the perfect name for him. They can call it Rant. Just people go on there and go on stupid fucking right-wing rants all day.
Well, I like Conlon's thing where he could get back in the graces of all this social media if he just said this is farce, this isn't serious. It's like this is done as a parody or a comedy. Oh, okay, well come on back then. 'Cause we already knew that. Just come out and say it. Because when you're passing off what he does as serious information, it's like, oh, well, no, you're misrepresenting yourself. This isn't serious.
Alex Jones is the deep onion news.
Yeah. And you could come out and say, you could have a disclaimer at the beginning of every show that you read. This is done for entertainment purposes only. This is parody. Here we go. And you'd still 90% of the people would still. I can't tell you how many times people quote. You know what Alex Jones said? It's like I couldn't fucking care less. We're having a conversation here. It's like telling me, what did Mickey Mouse say, or what did the imaginary leprechaun on your shoulder say? It's like that's not like we're not having a discussion anymore if Alex Jones is coming into it. It's like once Alex Jones shows up, I'm just being entertained. So, and I like Alex Jones. I think he's fucking hilarious, but I don't take him serious. I just think it's fun. But yeah, that's so we'll see what happens there. We'll see if this is all just some big ploy to get just some big ploy in the podcast universe to gin up some excitement.
What was that thing he was like railing about? He had like the one white supremacist guy on there, and he like want to have a moment instead of like God bless America about goddamn America, just like a moment of hate every day.
Something like yeah.
And then like he was just blowing up saying God damn America while his face was imploding red.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun, but it's not fun when the kids are fighting. It's like calm down, everyone. No one gives a fuck. But I mean, this is part of the. I don't know how much of this is serious and how much of it is just part of the. Because a lot of podcasts are migrating behind paywalls now. I don't know if you heard about this.
In what instance, like Patreon or just like the other podcast networks out there?
Just a lot. Well, a lot of podcasts are going to start going behind paywalls now. It's not Patreon. It's pay per episode or pay per content or whatever.
Well, who's doing that? And like,
a lot of people are looking at migrating to. Because Rogan's going to he's going to have an ad-free podcast starting soon.
Yeah.
And one where there's advertisements throughout the podcast instead of just at the beginning. And you're going to have to buy like yearly access through an app. Who else is doing that?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of podcasts that already do that. Like Giant Bomb does that.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's moving. I think Mark Maron's going to do something like that pretty soon.
And I know there are some podcasts. There's like, I think it's Stitcher Podcast Network.
Yeah.
And like they have ones where it's like they produce a bunch of podcasts that you can only get if you subscribe to Stitcher.
Yeah. So this is part.
But I have no idea how successful they are.
I don't know. They call it the Great Paywall Migration for podcasting because no one's monetizing. I mean, that's always been the problem with podcasting. It's like it's hard to monetize.
Well,
even if you get great people.
Well, because it's all based on. It's not just because they always have those codes they get, for whatever Casper mattress you get. So it's all based on how many people.
Whatever, yeah.
How many? But it's all dependent on how many people like actually like cash that in, because I think you're getting like a percentage of the sale or some shit like that. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but
there's numbers.
But like that's how, because that's what was like the difference between like radio, because even like radio now they're doing advertising Casper mattresses and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like the thing about radio is like people would pay for advertising on there, but you would have no idea if you reached anybody unless like when somebody bought somebody, they'd fill it on the survey like I heard this on the radio. So when you get
word, whatever. Yeah.
So now what those code words does, that says like, okay, where did this person come from and from what advertising? So that people paying for advertising, they know like exactly what they're getting anytime they monetize or they advertise somewhere.
Yeah.
So now like now radio is even having a harder time of bilking people for advertising money because now they know exactly what they're getting from it.
Yeah, you can't just make these starry projections. Well, that's what happened with like I don't know if you've heard about all the people at Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, Vice, all the journalists, the online journalists that just got laid off. Like, I mean, they just brought a scythe through and got rid of like 5,000 people. Between their there was like 7 or 8 companies, only 3 of which I'd ever heard of. I know what Huffington Post is. I know what BuzzFeed is. I know what Vice is. There was a bunch of others. They're just going through and cutting all those people out because it turns out these sites don't get as much traffic as people thought. And they're having, and also they've been acquired by big corporations.
Yeah.
Because like Verizon owns Huffington Post, and somebody else owns BuzzFeed, and Vice is still its own thing. But ever since they got rid of their CEO, the crazy Canadian guy with the beard, it's like their stock has been falling. So, but it turns out it's like, hey, these sites aren't getting as much traffic as we thought.
But also, this is the classic media outlet thing, which also coincides with how video game journalism has worked for like the past 30 years.
Okay.
So like, who doesn't want to play video games and write about it, right? It seems like an awesome job. So people who run companies like that, they don't care about quality.
Right.
So if you got thousands of people that want this job, just fire people and hire new ones for less money.
Yeah.
No one's ever around forever. So the whole idea of that is just have a rotating cast of people, and it's just about content. They don't care who's making it. It's been that way for you. So now they change. Like, that's why Giant Bomb has kind of been different. They're very like, they have a subscription model, and they also have a very small staff of people.
Yeah.
But the thing they did different is they kind of it was about the people. Is more about the people and less about like putting out content. It's like, we want you to like the people at our site, not just like a bunch of like random content and news and all that stuff. We want you to come for the people, not for the content. So that's how they kind of built that up, which is kind of coincides with YouTube culture and stuff like that. So they're kind of ahead of the game there.
Well, with these people at the internet, the digital journalists that got laid off, a lot of it too was, that's why we have the crazy like social justice article titles, because they were doing anything they could to get people to the site. So they would write like the craziest onion sounding. It's like, is this farce or is this real? Because all the people that got hacked, hacked off by that, were all people that were like just this far left bloggers and stuff on those like they didn't get rid of like the people that do international news or the people that did like economic report. All those people with those outlets are fine.
Yeah.
But the things that people that wrote articles like 32 things that'll fit in your butt, like, okay, we're done. Or
the 33rd one will shock
you. Yeah. It's so a lot of the crazy far left guys where people were booted out.
But I remember when One Up went under, and like they basically fired everybody, but they still had a staff around. But it was like nobody you liked.
Oh.
And I remember it was like the people that got to stay around were like the people that made like shitty top 10 lists that got a lot of clicks. Mm-hmm. Like those are the people that kept around. And then they just like, and it wasn't like, oh, now the entire staff is gone. How are we going to like get this thing to function? No, they just staffed up with interns and shit like that and made them do things for no money. Like this is just it's the same thing. It just happens in waves.
Well, that's one of the things that happened at Vice too, was they unionized like last year.
Yeah,
all the writers unionized because they were tired of like working for free and shit. And they're like, oh, fuck this. So right after they unionized, the CEO supposedly sexually, Shane Smith, that guy, supposedly sexually harassed someone or whatever. Some nonsense, I'm sure. But he's out, and then they unionize, and the new person comes in, and they cut 700 jobs. But they didn't get hacked. Like, Huffington Post got decimated. Like, they literally cut almost everyone. But I don't ever read that, so I don't know, like, what was going on there. I know what I read in the after action report, but it seemed like a lot of the crazy far left people got hacked. The people that were doing the most controversial clickbait type articles, they're just like, we're done with that. So, because I know Ariana Huffington doesn't own it anymore, so it's like we're not that outlet.
Well, it should just be outrageous top 10 lists, like top 10 reasons I'm not killing myself this month.
Yeah.
Like top 10 things that top 10 things that gives me erections that shouldn't. Stuff like that.
Number 1, fear. Number 2, shame.
Number 3, porn, oddly. Number 4, just anyone. Anyone.
Yeah. Anyone, anything.
Number 5, that bush that looks like a human being, but it really isn't.
7, translucent fish.
And then we had, what was the other thing this week? Oh, Liam Neeson's, like, weird talk about a black guy raped a friend of his, some girl, and so he got, like, a sap and was just looking to go out and kill any black guy he found. This was when he was a younger man. And he was talking about news and stuff, and I was like, what? It's like, why are you saying this now? This is the worst thing you could be saying at this time.
Well, I think it was about his new movie coming out. It was like he's trying to, because it's another revenge movie that he's doing.
Oh yeah.
He's trying to break the cycle of him getting cast in revenge killing movies.
Maybe that could be. I don't know. But if he was trying to stir up some kind of talk around this, he certainly did. I mean, that just seems to, like, when I heard he said that, and then I watched the interview where he said it, and he said it in a couple. I'm just like thinking to myself, that's keep it to yourself stuff, or talk to friends that you trust. Like, you don't go around saying that, because I know you're trying to put some kind of context or spin on it, but in this country's political climate right now, that is a lose-lose thing. You're not going to get anything out of that.
Well, me and Conlon both agreed before the podcast started and before we called you that basically is like, well, it took some real balls to admit he's a human being and he could have made a big fucking mistake, but he steered himself away from it and, made him, or, is not a horrible person like most other people that probably would have went through with it. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, you'd think that's how people would react, but then you land in America in 2019 and you realize, it's just a, what do they call that?
All I know is Liam Neeson wants to kill black men.
Yeah, it's just like
they took it out of context. They misinterpreted it.
Yeah, it's just a platform for, self-righteous indignation is the coin of the realm now here. Because what do they call? This is like the golden age of the victim in America. It's like anyone can claim victimhood for anything, and you'll suddenly be showered. You'll be showered with everything but financial rewards, because that's just not possible in America anymore. There's too many rich people that got to buy a 4th yacht and a 6th vacation home. But you'll get a lot of attention from people on the internet.
Yeah, now the rich people are exporting their terror and rape on others in other countries.
Oh,
no one will ever know about this because I have all the money.
Oh, did you hear the CEO of Starbucks' reaction, claiming he was being discriminated against this week? Because I guess he's trying to get data for his bid for presidency and independent party for candidacy this next election. And in an interview this week, he said he was being discriminated against. He doesn't like the term billionaire because that doesn't apply to him. Yeah. Because, that's not what's wrong with America, because nobody wants a 70% tax rate, and billionaires aren't the reason why this country sucks or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I keep telling yourself that.
As long as you believe that.
Because he's like, I used to identify with the Democrats, but they just don't like rich people anymore. And it's like, well,
it's almost like they want to work for the majority of America.
Fucking Democrats love rich people based on their actual policies. Yeah, I heard that guy's trying to, what did they say he's going to do? He's going to launch a spoiler campaign siphon votes away from Bernie Sanders and make sure Trump wins the next election. That's how I heard his presidential bid described. But considering the Democrats, it's just been a rogues gallery of lunatics. It's like, who can be crazier? You know, who's the craziest candidate we can run on the Democrat side? Because Elizabeth Warren seemed viable, but that Pocahontas thing is going to kill her. She's never going to get around that. That's done.
What about Cory Booker or whatever, the guy from New Jersey? He had like he had an ad I saw this week. He talked about how he lives in like the ghetto of his district for like the last 20 years or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening, but at the same time, is that really true? Because I don't think so.
I mean, you could, well, I'm not sure if she'd want to, but like, Tammy Duckworth, you could like put them together. That'd be fucking crazy. Do you know who she is? She is an Iraq veteran, double amputee, or she flew Black Hawk helicopters, went down, lost both her legs, her arm got fucked up. She is the one of the first Asian women to be in Congress, and she gave birth like last year. This is first.
Oh, okay, she's okay. Yeah, sorry, I guess I didn't see her name in the article, like the little blurb I read, but yeah, I remember that.
But I don't know if she'd be viable for that. But like, yeah, you put like, here's a war hero versus Trump. That would be an easy, like, you know.
And he'll probably make fun of the fact she's like an amputee and shit.
Yeah.
Call her like Sticks or just the classic Trump, the death of the name.
Yeah, and he'll be like, she'll be a horrible president. She can't even sign papers, or she can't even do this or that, and blah, blah.
Because I think that's going to be like the most uncomfortable thing for the next election cycle is because I think, you know, not that it's wrong or right, but I think the Democrats will want to push to have another female candidate, and that'll probably create a lot of nonsense. Now, you know, if that's the most credible candidate, sure, but it's also going to be like fuel for the Republicans. Like, that's just an easy, like, oh, we'll win this election again.
It better not be goddamn Hillary Clinton again.
Oh no, of course not. But
who are the viable people? Well, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of early, but it's already starting. Because Elizabeth Warren, I'd vote for. Joe Biden said he might come out of retirement. I'd vote for him. None of the rest of them. I wouldn't vote for Trump, but based on what I've seen by all the other people that have come out, it's like, well, tonight I stay at home. Tonight's the night Nathan doesn't vote for the first time ever. Because it's like, you got Gillibrand, basically identity politics. Kamala Harris, racial identity politics. Who's the other people? Beto O'Rourke, who I don't know anything about, except he's a white guy who has a Spanish nickname, and he seems to be cashing in on that. But that might come back and haunt him later.
But yeah, like for presidential candidates, if you want to, basically, if you're from the South, that helps a lot.
Yeah. For
Democrats in the national election.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not always, but that really helped for Clinton. It's like, oh, we're electing a good old boy, and he'll be fine.
Well, I mean, what about if Bernie Sanders actually ran on the Democratic ticket again?
Well, I mean, if he's the candidate, I'd vote for him. Because it can't get any worse than what we got now. It's fucking rock bottom now, so.
Well, because I know he's supposedly running again, but it didn't say if he's going to be independent or Democrat. So.
Well, I mean, the problem with the Democrats, though, is that somehow they're under this mistaken illusion that everyone who voted for Obama wants a really far left Democratic Party right now, and it's like, well, you're going to lose because people are just going to stay home. Unless they can distance themselves from that kind of thinking, I don't see how they can win. I mean, Trump is, oh my God, except for World War III not yet starting, it's been about as bad as people hoped, and still, it's like, well, where's your viable candidates that are going to run against him? But I don't see it. I see a lot of identity politics. I see a lot of just crazy ideas, and some of these candidates have some very weird things they've said and done in the past. That's coming up on the Democratic side. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And had that picture not come out, or I guess I don't know. Yeah, Al Franken would have been an interesting candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's well, that's another problem is the Democrats. Again, you have the far left activist element of the party, which I don't seems to be about half of it now. That they're just ready to destroy the other half, like they'll shoot people down for anything, any infraction, whether real or imagined. And it's like, yeah, if you're just going to destroy yourselves, the Republicans will always win.
Well, yeah, because it's like we're going to hold ourselves to a moral standard, and the Republicans don't.
Yeah.
So like it's like, oh, the same people, like we never have to recycle people in and find new ones because we're never going to get rid of them for any infraction.
No. And the stuff you're getting rid of half the Democrats for is just, it's fucking unprovable claims and nonsense. It's just like, well, somebody said it, so it's got to be true. It's like, okay, you guys are fucking done. We've needed a third party anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, the Democrats can implode, and we can actually have a real third party in this country. Because if that's the way, if that's the path they're going to go down in this far left shit, then they're just done. Stop wasting everyone's time.
I don't know if they're path. I think it's just another one of those echo chamber things. Like they're just the loudest voice in the echo chamber.
Well, it is, but it's destructive. And if you put candidates in and you elect people into office that are that crazy, and then it slowly builds momentum over the years, and it becomes like that's your candidate for president, somebody from that tribe or that group. It's like, well, no, you're not going to win. Then.
But stuff happened like that. What's the fucking? What was the, like, well, I'm not sure if it's far-right movement that happened years ago, and now it's like the...
Tea Party?
Yeah, Tea Party shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of meshed into the brain of the Republicans. I mean, I don't know what... See, everything that conventionally happened stopped with Trump, and now we don't... It's like weird territory. Like, there's a line of progression from Nixon to Reagan to Bush... to Bush Jr. to there's like you can follow the logic, and then you get Trump, and like all your data just gets sucked up. What is this? And when you try to react to that with something equally as destabilizing, weird, and off-putting to people, it's like, well, Trump won because he appealed to the worst in everyone. You can think you're appealing to the best in everyone, but that seldom works. That's usually just, and again, when you're shooting yourself in the foot at every opportunity, every crossroads, a candidate rises, and then you find some infraction in his background, real or imagined. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we got to start over again.
What I was also thinking about Trump is that the people, like, especially they thought he was just going to shoot himself in the foot, and in a normal society he would have, because like that's why they gave him so much like airtime. He's like, watch, this guy's just burying himself. It's like, nope.
Nope, that appeals to certain people. Some people like that. He's talking my language.
Yeah, but the more airtime you give somebody, the more they legitimize their views and make them seem human. If you just give him a 2-minute blurb, yeah, he sounds like a crazy fucking nut job. But if you give him all the day's air cycle and then keep talking about it, people actually start to think about it and digest it.
Oh, the guy who runs CNN, that Abramoff or whatever, he came out and said we fucked up by giving Trump as much space as we did, because it's like we thought it was like there's no way anyone's gonna vote for this guy. Look at this shit. We got to show this. We have to show everyone this. They didn't realize it was enthusing people. It's he said they fucked up by doing that. That's why CNN goes so hard against him now. They're trying to repent for their sins
by giving him more coverage.
By talking about him constantly and providing a framework of like, is he a tool of the Russians? Is he a sadist? Anything you can imagine is being said about him. And but I think again it's the same backfire effect. It's like his fans read that and they love it. It's like, yeah, fuck America. Somehow.
I can't wait till Trump steals Liam Neeson's story about wanting to go kill a black guy.
Yeah.
And then it just more people vote for it.
Poll numbers shoot up to like the most popular president since Lincoln. You know?
Well, no. Those numbers will go down because no one will want to admit that they agree with them. But then, when it gets to the polls, like, unrelenting support.
And then Trump will stumble and say he's done the most for black people since Abraham Lincoln. And then it'll go down.
I've done more for black people than Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah. I'm the best friend black people have had since the Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah, Trump, you got it. And I could see him saying any or all of those things easily, just with no introspection at all. About, maybe I can say that. No, say it. Sounds good. Go ahead, do it. You're the champ.
It'll cause debate where no one will win.
Yeah, everyone will just destroy their energy.
And when no one loses, I win. Or when no one wins, I win.
Yeah.
No, it's just Trump's the kind of person that just walks out of the bathroom and just like, that is the greatest shit anyone has ever taken. It is the biggest. It blocked that toilet for a solid month, I swear. It's the best shit ever. You should go see it. It's beautiful, beautiful shit.
We had to tear down the house
Remove
just to
the
get
toilet,
rid of
the
that
plumbing
shit.
system because of how big a shit that was.
They couldn't bring equipment in big enough to snip them all.
And everybody was like, what a beautiful shit. Like, what an immaculate piece of shit that was.
It was practically osmosis. That was how big the shit was.
Oh my!
Because there isn't any goddamn thing he does that he's not the best at or doesn't have a best example of his work in that area. It doesn't matter if he doesn't even know what the fuck the terminology is. Like going to the fucking supermarket using your ID to get groceries and shit. Like he just acts like he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Trump is the Armageddon of presidents.
Yeah.
No, we gotta send drillers to an asteroid.
It's gonna be the biggest drill, the hardest drill. Drill deeper than any other drill.
Shouldn't we just send astronauts? Can't they learn how to drill? Like, no. It's gotta
Make
be oil
this
drillers.
asteroid great again.
No astronaut could understand drill RPMs and gear ratios. Astronauts are not capable of understanding this.
They only understand going around the Earth, exit and entry velocity, and it's just stuff that's
Fucking
not
shuttle monkeys.
Yeah. The best people to have in space are people who learned on the job.
That's why we send so many. They learn or they don't.
Apprentices in space. You don't need all that fancy book learning.
Belters unite.
That's what computers are for. Because they never lie.
No, it's just something where it's like every fucking day and every fucking week it's always the same thing. People are pissed off about something Trump said, something he did, something whatever. Just like all this week it was about people being pissed off about how much they're getting fucked on their tax returns because Trump fucked them over. And they finally realize they're like, I'm never voting for you again. But then it's like, everybody's like, Trump's did so great on our tax returns or whatever. And it's like, so which one is it? He fucked you hard or like it's the best tax return you've ever had? Like, I don't.
Oh, it doesn't matter because it's a fucking it's all a lie. I mean, it's a closed.
Well,
loop.
yeah, because like half
Wait
that.
until 2 years when you can't claim your mortgage anymore and you can't claim anything. And also remember, every budget cycle, not every fiscal year, they're having to print up $1 trillion to cover up the shortfall in this guy's tax cuts. So now we're doing $1 trillion quarterly shortfalls. Now remember when that clock used to run about our national debt and it was $9 trillion and everyone was freaked out? Well, that took years to get there. We're doing the same thing now in months. So. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
It's just, yeah. It's just fucking nonsense.
I know,
Speaking of nonsense, did you watch that All In show yet?
I did. I did. I enjoy. I can see why some people get passionate about that. There's backstories. There's interviews. There's acting. And then there's stuff. I mean, it's kind of like that night fight show I watch. But
Yeah.
it's like those guys are actually doing that, but this is like some of the scripting and stuff. I can see why you get, because if you just watch the matches without any of the backstory, it's like, well, okay, I know this is some
Yeah.
kind of entertainment.
Yeah, you kind
But
of have to.
the passionate backstories where people seem, weirdly engaged and emotionally fractured, but like you want to know more.
But yeah, did you see the Hangman Page Joey Janela fight?
Yes.
Where he it was a Chicago street fight. Where they got it out of a literal Cracker Barrel. So that was like an inside joke, because on their YouTube channel they constantly go to the Cracker Barrel when they're on the road. It's like, this is the best.
It's like, is this a restaurant tie-in promo, or is this something?
Well, the other thing was TGIF, which was also an inside joke on their show.
Okay.
Because whenever they go to Japan, they go to the fine Japanese cuisine of TGIF near the Tokyo Dome.
That's where you want to go to Japan. Go to Japan, hit the TGIF at the Tokyo International.
And then also, that's also where the guy dick flipped him, and then he was carried away by a bunch of druid penises.
Yeah, there seemed to be, there was a lot of interesting things going on there. Borderline cult activity.
Yeah.
Lots of hero worship.
And I don't know if you were retained any of the other matches.
I'm trying to think of what
You're probably not going to remember any of the names, but you'll probably remember some of the stuff.
Yeah, the themed matches are always the reason you watch those. It's like, what are they going to come up with next? And then the weird fight interruptions where someone comes from the the fucking locker rooms.
Well, they had
someone, and it's like, what is this?
Well, they had the one guy who he got hit on the head or the neck or whatever, and he had basically become a Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
That was one of the matches. Well, that's his kind of his sub character is called Black Machismo. But he was taking the stage with the guy, and that guy is actually the brother of Macho Man Randy Savage. So it was kind of this I approve of this.
Okay.
And then he was fighting against Flip Gordon, who the whole backstory to that was that he didn't have he was on the YouTube show, and he didn't have a fight. He didn't have a match for the All In show.
Okay.
And so he had to it wasn't on that episode, but they had a pre-show that was on WGN America, and they had a Royal Rumble or not a Royal Rumble, just a Battle Royale, where he ended up winning it. He was wearing a mask, so people didn't know it was him, and he won that match to win a chance to get into the show. So that was the whole backstory there.
Okay. Yeah, I figured there was.
And then that was for the Ring of Honor Championship. So that's what that match was about. So, because there was a bunch of other matches that were going on. Because there was the Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis fight.
Okay.
And he was fighting for the NWA Championship. Which the whole backstory there was his father was a part of that promotion. And so it was supposed to be it's like, oh, he's winning his father's championship. So that was what's supposed to be the thing there.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the Kenny Omega versus El Pinto Zero match.
Yeah, that was like the what would you call that?
I don't know what to call that, but
what kind of wrestling is that? That seemed like a different style.
Yeah, well, Kenny, he's been the biggest wrestler in the world, internationally, for the past 5 years. So he's mostly been working out of Japan. So it's probably kind of almost a Japanese kind of wrestling.
Yeah, it seemed like a different style.
But he was facing off against a guy who was a luchadora wrestler. So
okay, yeah, I recognize the luchador stuff. It's like, oh, okay, that's gonna have the flips and the the
Yeah.
crazy show. But then the other guy seemed to be like, oh, he's doing something different too.
And then I can't. The last match I think was the Young Bucks match, but I can't remember. I guess they had to cut that short.
Okay, I probably didn't get that far.
Oh, okay, it was the last match, but I guess they were like 3 minutes from getting shut off by like the pay-per-view thing. Like it's gonna go dark if you don't hit this. So like they finished it in 3 minutes. They had 3 minutes to go when they finished. Yeah, recently. So that was before they created their own company, which is All Elite Wrestling. So they recently just had a ticket announcement party.
Okay.
So I signed up for the possibility of getting a ticket for their next show called Double or Nothing.
Okay.
So
Where's this one at?
it's in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a big Mark, so I bought some of their fucking gear
Oh, okay.
because they had a sale. So yeah, this is just a sweater. This is all
AEW.
AEW and big thing on the back.
Oh, okay.
And then also, so this company is called Pro Wrestling Tees, but like the overall company is called 1 Hour Tees,
Okay.
where they just like they're out of Chicago and they just print up T-shirts. So interesting thing about this is a Young Bucks T-shirt. This is like their kind of Bullet Club T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
So it says Super Kick Club because that's one of the things that the Young Bucks do is they constantly do super kicks, and the skull that's normally there is getting super kicked in the face. So.
Okay.
But so what's interesting about this shirt is that they have a thing where it's like $5 less for the shirt, but it's like you don't choose what the shirt is. They just randomly send you a T-shirt.
Oh, this is like an overstock shirt. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get whatever we have at a lower price. Okay.
So that's kind of interesting. They also have a thing where it's you can get misprints for like even less money.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Misprints are always fun. 'Cause people are like, is that a special one? Where'd you get that? And it's like, no, the image is doubled.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, or it's usually like the image is off center. So it's like, oh, we're just gonna throw a T-shirt away. Well, we'll sell it for like as is.
Yeah.
They're at least this one. It's the Gildan T-shirt, which I can't remember what company it is. They make okay stuff. Like it's for the price, it's pretty good. I don't know what horrible. I don't know what horrible practices, labor practices they're doing, but
Monstrous. Yeah.
But yeah, there's because I've gotten socks of theirs and it's pretty good, and the shirt seems all right for. I mean, this is the first time I'm wearing it. So.
Oh, okay.
But they have like the Pro Wrestling Tees thing. So they made it so you can like for the wrestlers you can create your own shop. It's like you just like send them in images, and then like when people put in orders, they print up the T-shirt and they send them out.
Oh, okay.
So basically, all you have to do as a person to create a storefront is just have images to print, and then people fill orders. So I'm gonna see if I can make some American Greed Factory T-shirts, and then we'll have a storefront for American Greed Factory.
All right, cool. Well, I can think of at least 2 other shirts besides mine that will probably sell. I gotta go up to 4 or 5X for me though.
Oh yeah. Well, especially I mean, I'm not sure about the 1 hour tees, but wrestling fans tend to be pretty big. So yeah, they really get up there with the sizes. You're...
Yeah, I'm gonna be okay. I weigh like 430 pounds now. So. So that now is that AEW going to have a TV component?
They're talking about it, but they have not said anything. I guess that would ruin it.
Capital?
Oh, they have their money guy he's a billionaire. He owns the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, okay, good.
It's probably Saudi oil money or some shit like that, but it's some sort of oil money, but whatever.
I'm not.
It's some sort of dirty oil
I'm
money.
not actively killing the journalists. Okay?
Is it clean coal money?
I don't know. I believe it's the son is Tony Khan, and it's the Khan family. I don't know where they get their money from, but
from the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm his son, Tony. But yeah, so they own the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they have a lot of capital at hand, I guess, if they're going to put it forward. But also,
who's the face of that as a character? Is it like Chris Jericho or?
no, but he's one of the bigger names they just signed.
Okay.
Because he's like a Hall of Famer guy. So it's like we got to have some people in here that are going to draw some money because they're not. I don't know. They're not really going to compete with WWE because that'd be insane. Because WWE just actually had their best year ever.
Yeah.
And even though like their product sucks,
Yeah,
they made money.
Look at
Apple's
the
been doing it for years. So.
yeah, but look at the history of any corporation. Just because they have their best year ever doesn't mean they can't fall.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Well, I
mean
don't.
they can't
Well, also, they're just not. They're not going to. Because like, so right now AEW, like technically, that All In show wasn't their organization. So far, the only thing they've actually done is put out some T-shirts and have some conferences. That's literally the only thing they've ever done. And then they're in May. They're going to have this event, and they only have 2 wrestling events scheduled this year. They have no TV deal yet, although there is some speculation that they will be getting a TNT TV deal,
Okay.
which would be crazy because that's where WCW used to be.
Right. I remember that.
Because they were in Atlanta for the Super Bowl. Like they all went to the Super Bowl.
Cool.
And so I don't know if that was like a thing like, oh, they're in Atlanta to talk to Turner Broadcasting, or if because their owner owns a fucking NFL football team, they got tickets to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Double promotion deal.
Yeah. But yeah, because like there's also like some WWE slightly struggling with their SmackDown brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's in October, it's supposed to go over to Fox, and they're gonna put the SmackDown on Friday, and they want to have a different presentation. They want to have a more sports centered presentation of it.
Okay.
But like there's some sort of stipulation in the deal that they have to have at least 3 million viewers regularly, and right now it's like at like 1.2.
Oh, okay.
So there's like a possibility like the deal could fall through and like, hey, we want our $500 million back.
I figured they could get 3 million eyes on that, but maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know that has a rabid fan base, but it seems like the market's diversifying too.
But also like so AEW does, right now they are scheduled for 2 shows. This show coming up, they're slated to have 12,000 seats. And the first one they did 10,000 seats. So it's not that much of an improvement.
Yeah.
They said something like the average audience for WWE this year was 5,000.
Okay.
But they're also putting on almost like 300 shows.
Yeah.
Throughout the year.
A lot.
So it's like 300 versus 2.
Yeah.
Their YouTube channel for Being the Elite, like they just crossed 300,000 subscribers, which is basically nothing.
Yeah.
PewDiePie has like 88 million. The WWE YouTube channel has 38 million subscribers.
Okay.
So they're not really going to. No,
yeah, Clash of the Titans.
No. What is going to be a thing is that the way they're doing things, how they're kind of wrestler centric, is that they are going to win the hearts and minds of the actual people that are going to be working on these shows.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting.
Right.
So there will be probably some, surprise departures or whatever.
Yeah.
But also they've been building up. So in Mexico, the big promotion there is called AAA.
Okay.
And it's a luchadora stuff. So they're partnering with AEW. They're also partnering with OEW, which is Oriental Entertainment Wrestling. So
Okay.
it's out of China.
Okay.
So you're gonna bring people in. So it's almost So like kind of how like New Japan Pro Wrestling works, where it's like they kind of bring all these international people in to make a big show. I think like they're gonna be that, but for America.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, a lot of devoted fans, but I don't think this isn't gonna really be competing with WWE. But
Yeah.
at least not for numbers wise. But for like wrestlers, yeah, it'll probably be because like as far as I know, they're gonna pay a lot. But also that was the thing that can happen is. So when you work for WWE, you have a lot of guaranteed dates. So it's like, oh, you're going to be wrestling 150 times this year.
Right.
And say like, you know, you're constantly getting hurt or something like that. Having to like work that much in a year might be problematic. But like, you know, for right now for AEW, it's like you got 2 dates slated. That's kind of a, you know, okay, pay me a shit ton of money to work two times this year. Like that'll be cool.
Right. We'll make it.
And then recently the thing is they signed Kenny Omega, which because he had a contract for New Japan Pro Wrestling, so that ended at the end of January. So now he could officially come over and sign with them.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, he's the biggest international wrestler in the world right now. So that's kind of a pretty good get, but like nobody knows him in America necessarily. Like you two wouldn't accidentally know who Kenny Omega is.
No, I probably wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
Didn't he star in Omega Man? No.
Like you guys know The Rock and John Cena. Like that's probably
Yes.
about it, right?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, yes.
Stone Cold
Hogan.
Steve Austin.
Yep.
Andre the Giant. Undertaker. Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Um.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, really good podcaster.
Oh, really? I didn't know you had a podcast.
Yep. It's a really great podcast.
Triple H.
Yep.
Goldberg.
Yep.
Shit. I'm running out of references. Fucking hell.
I actually know. I've heard of all the people he's talking about too. So.
Yeah.
But my friends in Indiana are really into this. So.
Okay.
I know a couple. Well, I used to know the guy they don't talk about anymore because he killed his wife and family.
Oh, Chris Benoit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him a little bit. Randy Savage.
Yep.
Fuck. That one guy dressed kind of like a hairband that was like fucking blonde hair.
Shawn Michaels?
Yeah. Couldn't remember his fucking name. I know what he looked like, but I can't remember his name.
The Heartbreak Kid?
Yeah. I didn't like him. Not that that means anything, but at the same time,
Well, he was kind of a heel, but people still liked him. He's one of those likable heels.
I didn't like him.
I was talking about I like there's that game they put it was almost like a Mortal Kombat. It was like WWE in your house or WWF in your house.
Oh, okay.
I remember like I played that more than I actually watched wrestling. At least at that time, I was like, I like this thing. But yeah, that's the other thing I figured out. Is like, well, all right, why am I into this? This is incredibly stupid. And it's like, it's more just kind of like the more you get into it, the more like weirder it gets. But I guess for like the AEW guys, like, oh, a lot of these guys are actually like my age. It's like, so maybe that's why like I'm like connecting with them on some level. It's like, oh, they just know the same shit I do. And then it's also what's interesting is like a lot of those guys are straight edge, like no drugs, no alcohol.
Okay.
Which might be a generational thing of them watching all their heroes succumb to drugs and alcohol, and then like,
Exactly.
all right, let's not do that.
Yeah, let's skip that.
So like actually, like a lot of these guys are like genuinely good people.
Yeah.
So that's always like a nice thing. Also in this, because I remember there was something that was Vince McMahon was complaining about the locker room right now. It's like everybody's too nice. I was like, motherfucker, you're living in the digital age. If you're not nice, people are going to find out about it. You have to be a genuinely nice person to your fans because everyone has a fucking camera in their pocket.
Yeah, you can't be running around yelling racist stuff at the top of your lungs anymore. Like, that doesn't work.
So I think that's like a thing I discovered, like, about wrestling, recently is like, oh, actually, like, these are like interesting, cool, nice people doing extraordinary things for your entertainment.
Yeah. No, yeah, some of these guys, it's like when you find out like your favorite rock musician is actually a cool, approachable person,
Yeah.
or it's somebody like oh, who's the guy who does the John Wick and Matrix, like
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Like if you ever met him, like he's not a cock. I mean, he's not gonna like run and hug you. But he's, hey, what's going on? Like he's not gonna freak out if you say hi to him. I don't know. I've never the only celebrity I've ever met is Lawrence Fishburne. So,
Yeah, I kind of like the crossover that he has now because he's like the fucking like hippie dippiest like actor in Hollywood. Like, you know, he just gives away all his money, he rides the subway, he doesn't own anything.
yeah.
But like gun guys are like, oh, you're fucking awesome, man, because he like literally trains doing all this gun stuff. But like, I don't know if he actually owns a gun. He just goes to training ranges and does all this shit. But like,
Yeah, he's happy to do it. Doesn't care.
because I remember the Demolition Ranch guy like met him once. Like he went to the same training place that Keanu Reeves goes to, and he has a picture of it. He didn't like get him on camera and did an interview. He just has a picture of him like meeting Keanu Reeves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, I've heard that about Keanu Reeves, but yeah, it's always nice to find out that people are really cool people
Yeah.
instead of just shitty jerks. Because I've met some car people, like either people that own like have famous car collections, or people that I've met a lot of people like that. A lot of those guys are cocksuckers. It's like, hey, that's an awesome, you know, Cobra replica you got there or whatever. It's like, yeah, don't touch it. Like, okay. Now that you've acted this way, I might be tempted.
Oh, I fell.
Fucking caved in the. And it's a replica. If it's a real Cobra, I get it. Yeah, don't touch it. But it's a fucking replica. Yeah, don't let your kid near that. Go fuck yourself. Don't bring it out in public then. I paid $10. Shut up.
But what's
Can't let my kid run over and grind his ice cream sandwich? Half an asshole. But you're only encouraging me at this point. It's like I was gonna be a good person until I met you.
like I was like when you met me, I was running up encouraging my son to like, yeah, go rub up on that car, go touch it, and go press all the buttons. Like I wasn't saying that at all.
You see those tires? Go stab this right into the Yeah, I've met people like that before. Universally pricks. For some reason, people that have nice, collectible, one-of-a-kind cars are fucking assholes. Like, hey, nice car. I know. Okay, all right.
Get away
What else
from
am I
it.
supposed to say to you? I want to fuck your wife. What would you like to hear? You know?
I bet my dick's bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Like,
I got this cool thing so poor people can't. Get away from it.
Yeah.
this is a conversation ender, not a. Not a
I
starter.
have this car to reinforce my superiority over you. But remember, everything goes the way of all flesh, sir. And they're like bouncing a can of gas off your knee. It's like today's beautiful thing could be tomorrow's scrap metal. In literally seconds. Here we go. Get out the road flares, boys. Have fun.
No, it's something where it's like, yeah, because my uncle is like, or one of my uncles was like that with his cars when he had like Corvettes and stuff like that, where it'd be like, oh, you know, do you want to ride? Or, you know, like, oh, cool, let's hop in and let's, you know, go fast or do whatever you're supposed to do in a Corvette. But then it's like, okay, sit perfectly still, buckle in, don't touch anything, look out the window, here's your 5-minute ride, now don't ever ask me for anything again.
And enjoy.
Yeah. Fun.
But it was something where it's just like, yeah, it's just one of those mentalities where it's like the people that buy the extremely collectible toys that sit in a box and are like, oh, that's really cool, I didn't know anybody had those anymore. And they're like, don't touch it. Like, don't you dare do anything to it. And like, I wasn't going to. It's just, I thought the whole point was you're supposed to be cool and, you know, as a conversation starter. And
Now, it could be either they're just assholes or they've had problems beforehand. And this
say
is
they
their
have
way of
problems.
dealing with it.
Oh, it was my wife's uncle that killed himself like, I don't know, 6 years ago or some shit. He fucking went out to West Virginia to get a Shelby fucking Mustang for that year's production. He went all the way out there because that's where he could find one. He was bragging about it while he's sitting next to the car. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a really cool car, and that's really great. And it was like, well, what do you plan to do with it? Because I'm like, you live in Iowa, you're not gonna fucking use it like the way it's intended to be used. Oh, I'm gonna go on, what was it, like the fucking open road races in the fucking Southwest every year. Like, basically do that. I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
Can-Am and shit.
Yeah. But then, like, the rest of the time, he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna drive around Iowa otherwise. And it's like, he's like, this thing's gonna be worth more than what I bought it for. I'm like, and then I started chuckling, and then he's like, what, you got a problem? I'm like, that thing's never gonna be worth more than what you fucking paid for it. It is a stock, not limited edition, not, like, hard to find. I mean, yeah, it's limited edition, as they only made so many that year, but they keep making them. It's not a rare item in the regards he thinks it's a rare item.
Well, see, what I never got about the guys that want to do that is, like, if you have that kind of money, get you, like, get you a Lamborghini Huracan or something. Don't even get it painted or just have it primered. Go out on the track and learn to drive that car at its fullest potential. You're going to scrape it up, you're going to fuck it up, but you're actually going to do what that car is intended to do. Either do that or just shut the fuck up. Go put it in the garage, leave your Star Wars figures in the box. Whatever you want to do, because you're never going to enjoy that thing. That thing is meant to have the hell beat out of it. It is meant to be run hard, and it's going to die. Just like your thoroughbred horses. They're going to die, but run them hard while you can. If not, just... It's like, yay, you have this thing in a box. Great. I mean, there's some stuff that should be preserved. I'm not saying go out and beat everything up, but don't act like you're, you're on some bracket race car league. Like, yeah, this is my passion, man. No, it isn't. You're not beating the car up enough for me to believe it's your passion.
No, because he honestly thought that was gonna be his everyday. Like, I'm gonna drive this around all the time in Iowa, and it's like, you're a fucking idiot. That's not gonna handle for shit in the snow. You're not gonna go above like 40 miles an hour at all times, sticking within the Cedar Rapids city limits. It's like, that's a waste of a fucking car if you're really
driving around in first gear the whole time.
It's like, God, you're a moron.
I could feel the power.
Go to stop. Whoa, 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 whoa. Never shifting gears. That thing's just like tapping out every time.
Yes,
this is great. Why don't you put a blower on it? Make this even better. Put some nitrous in it.
Because, he was trying to talk up, like, oh, how fast it can go from, 0 to 100. I'm like, where the fuck you gonna hit 100 around here? It's like, that's a useless stat to know. I'd want to know what the 0 to 40 on it is, but not the
380 heading south, man. Start doing 120.
Yeah, until you fuck. Or, I mean, not that the
cops are never there, man.
True.
And if they are, they're gonna be impressed. Wow. I'm not catching him.
I know a guy who had a Viper, the most powerful Viper they ever made. Well, for that year, and he lived in some little town off the freeway here, and one day he just got into it like, oh, I just want to drive this car like a lunatic, and he did, and it would. He drove it like a lunatic. They had helicopters and shit out. They never caught him. But problem is, he had a Viper. It looked like a giant bumblebee. So it didn't take long for like the cops to come up to his house, like, "Hey, we didn't catch you that day. Ever do anything like that again? We're just going to be waiting at your house. We're not going to chase you. We're not going to send people to your house. You got to come home sometime." He was doing like lunatic stuff, like 140 miles an hour down an American freeway, which in Michigan it's like, like, this isn't the Autobahn here.
And maybe if he's going that fast, he'd just go right over those bumps without even touching without even going down.
When you're going that fast over some of the chuck holes they have on the freeway here, it could throw your car out of control. That car, I think it had that much rubber between the tire and the rim. So, yeah, I know a guy that did that once, and he got away with it that time. He never did it again, though, because the cops just came right to his house. It's like, hey, dude, there's not like there's 20,000 of these in the state. We know who the fuck you are.
I remember that one time we visited Montana. I'm not sure if it's still this way, but they had unlimited speed limits then.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's awesome. You could just take cars out here and just find the max. But, like, yeah, the roads there would never... There's no straightaway for you to actually get up to that speed.
Yeah, it's just curving mountain roads. You just did blaze off into infinity if you take that corner wrong. It's like, here we come, God. Yeah, it's not a big tax base in Montana to support high quality roads.
But you know, there's raceways all over America.
Yeah, you
Take
can
this
go
stuff out
do
there.
that. I know guys that had Hayabusas here with turbochargers on them, and they didn't even have shifters. They had a button they pressed. So they could shift so fast, but they just did those on the track. And it's like, yeah, they went 200 miles an hour on a track, which is cool as shit. Not so much when you're driving home. And
Man, I saw like they have like that. It was on. Well, they probably had it on Top Gear, but I think I saw it on the Grand Tour, where it's like a BMW just like course that's just like constantly wetted down to do drifting. It's like a drifting school. That'd be fucking awesome.
figure 8 course, yeah.
Yeah.
Got the fire truck out there. They who did Ford have? They had a video at work because they use they use Mustang body shells, but it was like the best drifters in the world, like where the cars are just set up to drift.
Yeah.
Where you have like a steering wheel, a shifter, and then an expanded shifter that you pull up based one way or another, and the car just drifts through everything. And they did a mock-up of Route 66 in Dearborn, and this guy drifted where you got the island, the gas pumps, and then the gas station. This guy drifted the car through that like flawlessly, literally had an inch on each side of him. And yeah, they were doing shit like that. Drifting under a semi. Where they pull the tractor trailer out and this guy will come up and just like, and it was a Mustang Shelby like fiberglass body. Of course, the car was like this far off the ground and had special tires and all that. But it's like, yeah, that's pretty crazy that someone can do things that accurately. I mean, I don't know how many takes there were, but I know the body of the car didn't look all damaged. So, and they have a drift truck. It's kind of silly, but it's funny. It looks like a Raptor, and it just breaks sideways. It just keeps walking sideways, all 4 wheels, and then it goes straight all of a sudden. Like they'll change the mode, and it just goes straight. By putting 20 sets of tires on it to do like a 10-minute, short take.
I remember there was a thing in one of the documentaries for Terminator 2. There's that part near the end where they have a tractor trailer like fall over on the highway.
Yeah.
So they just had an empty tractor trailer, and there's like, all right, just spin that bitch and see if we can roll it. And he's like, it's not gonna roll. There's nothing in it. And the fucking truck does a 180.
Yeah.
Doesn't fall over. I was like, that's fucking cool. I want to see that in a movie, and I have not yet. So yeah, they had to put like a specific kind of weight on one side, so when they fucking spun it, it would actually roll over.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cars and vehicles like that where everyone's just like, just grab the wheel and spin it. It's like, it'll just go backwards. It's not like the old days where they're heavy and long and unbalanced. They'll just turn around on you. I mean, don't try it, kids.
Yeah.
It could flip over on you, but yeah, 9 times out of 10, you'll just fuck the suspension up.
And also, like, the other cool thing about that, this part where the helicopter flies underneath the overpass.
Yeah,
and it's like that wasn't CGI.
Really
the guy actually did that. He was a Vietnam pilot.
Oh, okay.
It's like, oh, we'll do some special effects. He's like, no, I can fit through there.
Got about 10 inches of clearance on each side.
We're good.
We got this.
No one's shooting at me. I'm good.
Well, did you ever see the guys that took it was Army, or it wasn't the Blackhawks, but it was the smaller one. Ever seen that thing in Iraq where it's the 2 arms and the crossed swords and it's like an arch, and the guys flew under that?
Oh yeah.
Gotten a lot of trouble. Because they say the problem with like arches is like they get narrower as they go up.
Yeah.
These guys, like literally the way they did it, they just flew through the arch. I mean, the guys are helicopter pilots; they knew what they were doing. But if you look at it, it's like, yeah, they had about 4 inches on either side, and it would have clipped the rotors and they'd have crashed. But yeah, I don't know what kind of helicopter it was. It wasn't the attack helicopter.
Oh, it wasn't Apache, so it wasn't-
No. This was one where the guys were side by side in the front.
Oh, was it
It was a Black Hawk.
some Huey?
Some kind of scout type helicopter.
Oh, okay.
The small ones, not the ones that carry a lot of troops.
Yeah.
Or
Was that the what do they call them? Blackbirds?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I believe there's like a scout. I think it was in. I think they had it in. Fuck, what was that movie? Black Hawk Down. I think there's a part where they get the. I think they call them Blackbirds, but like they mounted them with like Gatling guns, and like they flew in and like provided cover fire at some point in that movie.
Yeah, these look like really small news choppers. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of, but they're just like the 2-door instead of the 4-door version. I know I'm not saying that right, but yeah, that's what these guys did, and they filmed it from inside. It looked crazy. You see these 2 giant cross swords, and then it's like, here we go, and they kind of go in sideways. It's like, oh, and they put it on the internet and got in a fuckload of trouble. Because the government's like, yeah, that's about $20 million of state property you're misappropriating. And the one guy's defense was like, it's the most exciting thing that happened in the invasion of this country or something. Like, he had some snarky defense. Which that doesn't help your case. Just a wise ass. Well, we watched a movie this week.
Yes.
We watched M. Night Shyamalan's first good movie.
Was the
Sixth
second
Sense?
movie?
It's like, was that his second movie?
Yeah, I think the first movie he did was like some sort of romantic comedy, but this was the second
that's
movie.
What the fuck movie was that then? I thought Sixth Sense was his first movie.
I'm
I'm interested to see what romantic comedy. Is it the one where all of them are midgets besides Kate Beckinsale and Matthew
No,
McConaughey?
I
She's
don't.
all that.
What's that?
She's all that was the romantic.
Okay, yeah.
No, he was the writer of that.
Oh yeah,
He was the director
What?
of something called Wide Awake
yeah.
with Dennis Leary. And then Praying with Anger, which was some Indian movie.
Okay, so that's fucking weird. That I know he wrote "She's All That." That's fucking.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. It's not because it's weird because it's a fucking a rom-com, like a teenager rom-com type of shit. But at the same time, it's like this is the guy that fucking directed and wrote Sixth Sense and fucking a bunch of other just like weird out there twist horror movies. And it's like he also wrote "She's All That." It's like the promotion for Sixth Sense from the writer of "She's All That" comes Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment.
Well, you gotta get work. So I think he probably did like a lot of commercial directing before that, and some small films and stuff, because that's usually the path to major films.
Because I can't think of one non-twist based horror movie that he's done.
Was Lady in the Water twisty?
Well, I guess Airbender technically
Oh yeah, he did direct.
technically
Airbender.
wasn't a horror movie, but that's like the only other movie I can think of that wasn't a horror movie by him.
Yeah, it's kind of what he does.
What about After Earth?
Although Unbreakable isn't really a horror movie; it's just kind of a low key superhero movie. Yeah, After Earth is. I've only heard terrible things. I've never actually seen
I've seen it. It's kind of, I mean, it's sci-fi / horror-ish, so it's not good.
it.
If that's what the information you're looking for.
Like most of M. Night Shyamalan's things.
Yeah,
But this...
my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie to watch is Signs. I enjoy that. I don't know why. It's not like awesome, but it's good.
Well, no, it's... we'll go on another... a fraction of a good movie scale. Signs is 7/8 of a good movie.
Very specific. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Signs. Whenever that's on, I'll watch it. I have it on DVD. I usually watch it once a year. I don't know why I just like it. But that's not the one we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, this is the...
Tonight's movie
Is The Happening.
Spoilers. The Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense, which was actually probably his best movie.
Yeah, well,
Definitely the one that launched his career for this kind of movie.
Like I'd say Signs is a better overall movie, but yeah, this is definitely the launching point.
The alternate ending was
Because this is like, I believe this is like the second highest grossing movie of that year, and this was like a small movie.
Yeah.
So that's like pretty amazing.
Yeah, this movie was made for $36 million and made 700 million. And that's just theater sales. It's also one of the highest selling DVDs of all time ever. Still holds the record. I think it's in the top 5.
The alternate twist was that Haley Joel Osment was dead. That
yeah,
no,
would have been weird.
No.
Haley Joel Osment is a fat bearded guy.
So this one starred Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment. Bruce Willis is kind of subdued in this movie. I forgot because he's like a child psychologist, so it made sense. Like he didn't have a Beretta or anything.
He wasn't screaming, yelling at anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he always plays aggressive roles. He doesn't really play. I mean, he's had a couple like more calm, like whole 9 yards stuff like that, where it's comedies where he's calmer and not as aggressive and off-putting. But yeah,
was he coming off of Die Hard with a Vengeance with this one? I'll look it up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because I thought Die Hard with a Vengeance was like 98 or something.
95.
95? Oh, I thought it was later than that.
Yeah, he was coming off Breakfast of Champions. Well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
is that
he's a car salesman, I think.
Is that an adaptation of the Kurt Vonnegut novel?
Yeah, it is.
Huh. Okay.
He was the main character in that. I've watched it once. It's not memorable.
Okay, he came off. Okay, he's coming off of Armageddon and the Siege.
Yeah.
So.
That's at the Siege. That was a weird one.
Yep.
And it was weird that it came out like 2 years before 9/11. Fifth Element. Oh, and The Jackal.
I always liked that movie. I don't think it gets as much, appreciation as it should.
I don't know.
Jack Black's in it.
When they shot off Jack Black's arm and killed him, that like kind of like, I don't know, that kind of like ended my appreciation of that movie. It's like, well, you killed Jack Black. Fuck you, movie. But it turns out they were right.
As it turns out, they were prophets.
Jack Black has a YouTube channel now. I haven't seen it. He plays video games.
Oh,
that's an original concept. Pretty soon, I'm gonna start doing that.
Just celebrities doing low rent YouTube shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and he can't make a movie anymore.
But anyway, The Sixth Sense was a subdued performance by Bruce Willis. Breakout role for Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah.
Ruined his life, I think. I don't know. Maybe he's happy now.
No, he's okay. He's still acting. He's in. What do we watch? Future Man.
Yeah, Future Man.
Oh, okay.
He just looks like a hobbit now because he's like kind of short and fat or chubby and has a beard.
Just picture him as a blonde, short, chubby Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. That just snapped into focus for me. Thank you.
Or you ever see that meme where it's like the kind of like husky guy with a beard and he like just kind of like does the head nod like, yeah. He kind of looks like that.
Oh, okay.
It's weird to see him. It's like, oh, that's Haley Joel Osment.
So anyway, Haley Joel Osment goes to see the child psychologist Cole.
Should we just spoil everything up front here, or how are we going to talk about this?
Everyone in the world has seen this movie.
Well, when did you first? Because like I just had this spoiled for me because it's like pre oblivious internet days. So it's like I want to talk about this, but I need to tell you this thing. I was like, okay, I'm never going to see this because I think when I saw the trailers, I think I was off put by like how like successful the movie was. Like I'm not going to see this. This is like PG-13 horror movie. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And then someone explained, like, that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. It's like, oh, that's cool. And so I watched the movie the way people would watch it a second time, just looking for all the clues.
Oh, okay.
And when you first watch it, it's like you're arrogant. It's like, oh, I would have picked up on this. So I was like, no, I probably would have been duped the whole time. So I remember in Fight Club same year, that's like I was duped the whole time with that. So I would have been duped the whole time here.
Yeah, I watched this in the theater with Stacy. I didn't know what was going on until the end.
Okay.
I figured it's like, oh, here's this kid and it's terrible. He sees all these dead people. I never put it together till the end, which is why it works.
Yeah.
It's like, because once the movie goes back when he's seeing his wife in the end, and it replays how like nobody pays attention to him, the teacher slammed the door in his face and stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, now it makes sense, but I didn't pick up on any of that when I was watching.
Yeah.
The movie. That's what makes this movie really cool.
It's probably why the movie was very successful at the box office, because people had to see it again.
Yeah, there was no internet out there. No Han Solo dies. So
When did you first see it? Do you remember?
Home video when it came out to rent.
Okay.
Because my mom wouldn't let us watch anything like that in theaters.
Because was it PG-13? Like, I think it was, right?
yeah, I don't think there was anything in this that would strike me as R rating.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about, like, it was PG-13. I was thinking, is this sort of a prototype? I haven't seen the Conjuring movies, but would you see this as being kind of like a prototype for those movies, like PG-13 horror, where it's more kind of like, it's more kind of like the dread and kind of like surprise rather than the, just horror and violence.
Yeah, I would definitely say it cashes in more on that than just graphic horror. So yeah, I would agree with that.
But also think about it, it's almost like a lot of genres crammed into one. Like one is kind of like this, like, it's like actually each one is kind of dopey. It's kind of a dopey drama about like this weird kid getting help from a child psychologist, and then the reverse thing is like, no, the kid's gonna help the psychologist too. And it's also kind of like a dopey horror movie where he's like just casually helping dead people like move on to the next life or whatever. But like when you put it all together and you kind of don't know the twist, it works somehow.
Right.
They should cut this trailer as like a comedy movie where he helps out a kid, where it's like Bruce Willis's marriage is in trouble, and then he like gets the door slammed in his face, and it's like Haley Joel Osment, the kid that just can't figure things out, and then he's just crying and running away from things, and it's like together they make the odd couple, and then it's just done kind of and shit, and it's like, oh, this is totally not what this movie was about.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I could see that.
Well, they do that that's a kind of a popular thing I like watching on YouTube, where they do mashup trailers or like honest trailers for shit that make fun of the movie. So, not that this movie deserves made fun of. It's really well done twist, and didn't this pretty much start the twist trend where everybody wanted like different, like?
Well, yeah, it became the spell that undid M. Night Shyamalan's career, because it's like he always had to one up himself.
Well, I think like the thing I was thinking of the other day is that a lot of M. Night Shyamalan stuff is, this would be a cool 50-minute Twilight Zone episode. Unfortunately, it's 2.5 hours long.
Comes the rub, yeah.
With this, it was fine. It's like, this is a Twilight Zone episode, but all the pieces work together, and it's fine that it's a longer episode, Twilight Zone episode. But that doesn't always work in his favor.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, as far as I can remember from like all of his horror movies, where he has twists and he has character setups, he doesn't really dive into more than really focusing on like 2 or 3 characters. That's the most he really focuses on in depth, and that's fine. It stops you from spreading yourself thin and not having enough time to tell the story and cover all your bases and character progression. But he always sticks to that formula. There's always like 1 or 2 people of interest. He never really covers another area, like he jumps to another area of the United States or another area in town where somebody else is being affected.
Like he shoots all his movies in his hometown.
Oh, really?
Well, I'm not sure if it's his hometown, but yeah, they're all in Philadelphia.
Okay.
All around Pennsylvania somewhere.
Yeah, and he films in there too. That's usually why they cost more.
Oh.
Also because he usually gets like $20 million for directing and $20 million for the script. That's why Signs cost like
$7-8 million.
Yeah, there's nothing in Signs that costs that much.
I was like, I didn't know what Mel Gibson's payday was.
Yeah, that was $30 million
or
at the
Joaquin
time.
Phoenix's, or is it Dakota Fanning's daughter? I don't know.
think maybe
Elle Fanning? I can't remember.
one of the Fannings.
I thought it was one of the Fannings was his daughter, her youngest daughter or whatever. But anyway, it's just something where I don't know if he might benefit from like changing his formula up a little bit, not having to have a huge twist at the end. I know that's what he's known for and what he wants to do, but maybe focusing on a larger group and having a grander scale of accomplishment in the movie, where something's really harassing or just like I don't know how Cloverfield, like it focuses on a group of 5 people in the beginning or 4, I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
But then it's also about what's happening in the city at the same time.
Well, from what I've heard of the Glass, it kind of gets into that. Does some world building at the end.
Yeah.
Although the twist seems really interesting, but apparently it's kind of stupid. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna wait till it came out in video to watch it. So I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the Red Letter Media thing, and I just let them spoil it for me. It's like, I'm never gonna watch this.
Oh.
It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then I guess they don't do anything with it. But yeah, it's more world building.
I mean, because like the one before Split, was it Grandma's House or I can't remember what the fuck it was called.
The Visit.
Yeah.
Oh, The Visit. Yeah, that was actually kind of promising. You knew where the fuck it was going, because it was like, oh yeah, they got murdered and replaced with people that weren't them or whatever. But it still was kind of had some tense moments in it. It was kind of riveting, but it wasn't a good movie. But it's promising to see him like, okay, at least it's not The Village or Last.
Well, The Happening, they kind of do some world stuff there, where you get to see people killing themselves in other countries. And
yeah,
that's kind of interesting. But The Happening wasn't good, but it's one of the best unintentional comedies of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good for being bad. This is how you don't do it. Even though you have a cast and a script and everything, you still did it wrong.
Because does he say he's like influenced from like Twilight Zone or Hitchcock or any of the classic horror movie like twist type of narratives?
I mean, I'd imagine.
I don't know. That's one of the problems with M. Night Shyamalan. Is one of the things that killed him was his arrogance, especially with the press. Like he almost he kind of took on this Kubrick sort of persona of like, well, I would explain it to you, but you'd never understand it. And then the press will just start savaging your pictures, like, oh well, if I'm a dumbass, then fuck you. We'll just make this what it is.
I mean, some of his twists are good, but they're never that intellectual that nobody would ever understand them.
Yeah, I wish he'd just make a bunch of movies, like start doing Spielberg, like I'm going to shoot 2 movies a year and just get a bunch of small non-twist movies out.
Yeah.
So then you'd be ready for like, oh, is he going to do it this movie? Nope. Is he going to do it this movie? It'd be exciting again, but yeah. Because that's what they were, that's what M. Night Shyamalan got committed. Like, he's the next Spielberg. Because like,
right.
look, his movies do huge at the box office, and like he kind of, a lot of like the character stuff is like similar to Spielberg. That he does, and like his style of shooting is similar, but then he just kind of like he can do small movies with twists and horror stuff, but he's yet to do like a big world movie. He's not doing Jurassic Parks, he's not doing Indiana Jones or anything like that.
No, he's done some weird ones like The Last Airbender.
Yeah. Well, he produced the cartoon show, which was good. So I guess it's like, hey, let's make a live action movie, and like he's already a producer on the show. It's like, we'll just have him direct because he's a name. And then apparently he made it shitty.
I guess it was real popular overseas, though. It was one of those things.
Oh, the movie? Okay.
Yeah, it hit bigger overseas than.
Because I know the cartoon's like pretty huge.
Yeah. The cartoon's fucking huge.
Like I hear it's not. I know it's like a Nickelodeon show, so it's like you think it's a kid show, but I hear people say like, no, it's just a good show. Like don't get put off by it being a kid show. But I still have never watched it.
Yeah,
I did. It was really bad, and not just because of whitewashing, but just it was really bad acting.
Oh, the show? Okay.
Yeah. No, not the show. The movie.
Oh, the movie. Okay.
Because I rented it thinking like, oh, I kind of want to see how he goes with this. Because, like, oh, it's M. Night Shyamalan. I had no idea he produced the cartoon or whatever, so I figured, like, he was there to do his interpretation of it. I kind of knew the story.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that would be, like, because that's a big like whole world and society's interacting. So that'd
Yeah.
probably be his biggest movie he'd ever made. So I guess he did a bad job with it.
No, like I said, he's not good with expanding the picture.
Okay.
He's good in small focus settings, especially when you get down to 2 or 1 person. He does a lot better tension that way. But as soon as he expands it, he just doesn't.
Yeah, I thought it's a weird, and I don't think it doesn't really. It's only like character focus. It doesn't even do anything with plot. But for in Sixth Sense, that part where they're like, there's a car wreck and they're just sitting in the car talking, and he's like talking about grandma. That was
Yeah.
a fantastic scene, and great acting that had almost like really nothing to do with the rest of the movie, but it was really great. I was like really like I kind of like forgot that scene. I was like really impressed by it when I watched it again.
Yeah, because you like this. You're listening to this kid talk, and it's like he sounds like really fucked up.
Yeah.
And then you see the things he sees, and he's like, "Oh, he's still calmly talking to his mom." And there's this dead woman, this ghost outside the window.
Yeah, just staring in with blood on her face.
Yeah, just like staring in at him, and he's like, "Oh, he's remarkably calm considering what's going on." Yeah.
And
I mean, M. Night Shyamalan can make a movie,
Yeah.
no doubt. But I think like the fall from grace started with The Village and sort of reached its epoch in Lady in the Water. We never really came back from that.
Well, no, Split was good, but that was also like intentionally making a smaller movie.
Yeah, but you're talking like almost a decade later.
Yeah.
It's like it's a 10-year hiatus.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't hate Lady in the Water, but I also just accepted it for what it was. I wasn't expecting anything else. The Village seemed like again, that's one of those things you went back, or you said, like, this is a Twilight Zone episode. Just, they stretched it at 2 hours. But yeah.
But he's also gotten a lot more into like producing stuff.
Yeah.
I think we did that Devil movie, or it was like a horror movie, an elevator.
Yeah. That was actually a cool one. Yeah.
He's done stuff like that. But I think like the kind of what he needs. Well, no, I guess he's done it. But I mean, one thing that Spielberg did well is shooting other people's scripts. And that's
Yeah.
why, cause like that's why he's not a writer director. Spielberg is pretty much just a director. He just can sense good stuff and change it around and do good things with it. Whereas M. Night Shyamalan is a writer director. He needs to write and direct everything he makes,
Yeah.
and that has some downsides to it.
It's a lot of hats to wear
Yeah.
and keep everything spinning.
Okay, how about a sequel to She's All That? She's not all that.
I'd really like I'm not sure it would work, but no.
Also, one of the writers on Stuart Little.
Yeah.
fuck,
You got to
bro?
get work somewhere, yeah. I would almost really like to see a sequel to Sixth Sense. Like just him helping dead people.
Yeah.
Like I know there's been shitty movies like that, but
Yeah, like a good one, you mean?
yeah. Because there's always that movie's like, oh, we got to help the dead people so they
So
can get
maybe
on the-"
more like the series Dead Like Me, because I like that
Yeah.
show for helping dead people, but also had a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't depressing, but it wasn't upbeat.
Yeah. But
So Haley Joel Osment can have a huge drug problem. He learns to battle, but also like
he becomes the guy that shoots. He just essentially becomes that guy that shoots Bruce Willis.
He gets in a
just
time
in his
machine
underwear.
and goes back in time and like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I was supposed to help people. Now I'm a drug addict failure.
Why did this happen?
Should just be a guy that like works at like fucking Wendy's as an adult failure, and on his lunch breaks he goes to help dead people in the parking lot.
Yeah.
This is my public service, and no one will ever know.
Yeah, he has this like dark life, but on the surface, it's just like someone your eyes would just pass by him.
Why can't this guy just put it together? It's like, no, he's a savior.
This is the Messiah. He's the one.
He's getting grandma to heaven or hell. We don't know.
We're not sure.
I don't know. Grandma didn't have a lot of conspiracy theories about the Jews. So we're gonna say probably hell, but at the same time. Maybe she was right. So heaven.
The Jews.
You can only be as horrified as I was. My grandma brought that up, like, I don't know how many years ago, as like a conversation topic. It's like, so what about the Jews? I'm like, I don't know, Grandma. What about the Jews? Like, I've heard they make great
synagogue.
Read this book.
Doing your taxes.
Read this book. It's a Choose Your Own Adventure book.
But anyway, before we get off into
yeah, we haven't really talked about the movie. We just pretty much talked about M. Night Shyamalan's career, but I don't know. Like I said, it's actually
movie. Watch it.
I think it's actually like when you go back and watch it, it's like it's a lot tense and it's meant to be terrifying the first time through, but it's like when you go through a second time, it's like, oh, this is kind of goofy and hokey, but like I said, it works despite that.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that works. That first viewing, it gets you, and that's what it's supposed to do. And then after that, you're just looking for things.
Yeah.
No, because it does a very good job with what today I think would still be very well received. I think it would hold up well even today if it came out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody from like The Conjuring to Insidious and stuff like that, they have a similar stick where it kind of builds tension and shows the ghost. But they also do more with it and they go over the top. Where this one, I think it builds tension just fine. It is horrifying by itself. Just from like, oh, they're just, it's like a permanent, like they're always around and it's like they never go away. They don't do any bad.
Yeah.
But they're just always there.
Oh, the other shocking scene in this movie, real quick, to show how effective it is when the woman is poisoning the daughter with like putting Windex in her oatmeal or something.
Yeah.
And remember, he like opens the flap on the little play hut, like the little blanket fort the girl's made, and there's just a girl sitting there with oatmeal pouring out of her mouth, staring at him. That's scary. You're not expecting that.
And then he runs away, and the blanket falls down. And you can see like the blanket falls on her outline.
Yeah,
it's like that's great. That was great.
Yeah,
that's small thing.
It's like, oh wow, what a nightmare.
Really, it's really simple and effective. And then the thing when he goes to the wake or whatever, and like then like she grabs his foot and like she like pushes the box out, and then he gives the box to the dad and he watches the videotape.
Yeah. She's putting like Windex or something in her food.
Yeah.
And which is really horrifying to think about. It's like, oh, there's people that fucked up out there too.
That's Munchausen by epoxy.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know what that is, that's when people intentionally keep their children sick.
To get attention to themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is why my son broke his arm. Broke it, so
that's why you broke your son's arm.
In front of like 1,000 people. But yeah. No, this was a cool movie, and I enjoyed watching it again as much as I did the first time. But I'm not a hater on M. Night Shyamalan.
But it was also like, it was an interesting year for horror movies in this year, because I think Stir Echoes got thrown under the rug because this was just kind of a better version of that.
Stir of Echoes is still a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but it's just kind of like it was in the shadow of The Sixth Sense.
I guess I didn't know when they came out.
Same year.
Well, same year, but which one came out first?
Sixth Sense, I think, came out first. And then also this year you had Blair Witch Project. Was kind of
that was a big one.
Because that was kind of the start. Well, I'm not sure if it was a start, but that was like when a found footage movie like made millions of dollars and had a brilliant advertising campaign before the internet existed. Yeah, well, I mean, it existed, but like before it was a major thing. I've still
never seen that movie.
It's maybe we'll watch it. It's interesting.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's good, but it's like, remember, like they spent like $1,700 to make that movie, and it made like $300 million.
Oh, I know. It had an insane profit margin on that movie,
and started a whole genre
of horrible movies that nobody liked.
No, I mean, because like Cloverfield's a found footage movie.
Well, there's a few bits and pieces to pick out, but yes. Because people really like Chronicle. I fell asleep during that movie. I hated it.
Oh, I really like Chronicle.
That's one with the kids that get superpowers and turn against each other?
Yep.
Okay. I think I've seen that.
And then I've never seen them, but like I hear good things. Is the what's the haunted house movies where it's like on VHS?
Oh, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity.
The
Yeah,
first one's pretty good.
Yeah, the first one's pretty believable until it's like what the 8th or 9th one now, and it's like
Yeah, well, they stopped making the Saw movies, and so they had to start making more Paranormal Activity movies.
I thought they did like a Saw.
That's it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there's a weird through line in all those Paranormal Activity movies, right? Doesn't it always come back to some satanic cult?
I don't know. I haven't watched any of
I
them.
don't remember what the end of the first one was.
So I think the third one goes back to the 80s, right, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because they have the really old camera. It's like huge.
Yeah.
They find the one from the 80s that's capable of recording in that kind of high fidelity. And the guy's like throwing it on his shoulder like a rocket launcher. And like, who's using this? People in the 80s.
But no, other than that, like found footage wise, I just don't like the style that much because it does add something to tension and horror because you can't make out everything. It does bring to life the whole like, hey, this is kind of like what it would be to be trapped somewhere in a dark, scary place where you're scared, everything popping out because you live that a lot better that way than you would if filmed on the screen in a normal view. But at the same time, I also hate it for that reason because I can't fucking make out anything.
Yeah.
And I can't tell what the fuck I'm supposed to be looking at half the time.
Well,
It's just all going all over the place.
Well, it's
and I
like,
get
here's a
pissed
style obfuscating the lack of budget. We're going to create tension with no money. I remember there was an anthology series that kind of was like called VHS, which I thought the first one is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know if the other ones are any good.
First one's good. I've never seen the other ones.
Oh, yeah, the first one's good. I watched the second one. It's pretty crap. Compared to the... I had high expectations because it's like, oh, it was an anthology of the first one and they pulled it off. And they had like a year or so between that and the second one. So I'm like, they probably got another... 4 or 5 good stories in the tank, or at least 1 or 2 passable ones, and no.
And then there's that Mexican zombie one, which it's called REC. They made like 3 of them, and they made an American version called Quarantine. Like they're all right.
Yeah, I've seen Rec 3, and that was good. And then kind of Hardcore Henry's kind of like found footage of his first person.
Yeah.
Review. And I appreciate that movie for what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a video game made into a movie.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Quick model talk.
Okay.
Yeah,
What do we have there?
A Renegade Knight.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically what it would be a good knight, except infested with a demon inside of it instead of a living, breathing pilot.
Oh, okay.
Because if the light was better, you could see the pilot's skull hanging from the waistband of the knight. But it's yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay.
no.
Oh, yeah, it's on. Yeah, just
Oh, okay. So it's just a battle armor suit.
yeah. It's just kind of like it's a giant mech piloted by one guy, and they are. It's. I mean, when it says knight, they literally mean knight because it's like they belong to knight households and they have a code of honor and arms and stuff, and they just fight Xenos or Chaos Purges and just kill a bunch of shit with all their big guns or melee weapons on top of this thing. And so I added to it by adding some bits and bobs here and there in the paint and decals, but also sculpting the neck and putting a head on it because it comes with like a big metal mask or robot head you can stick to it. Oh, what happened? Oh, missiles. But
Missiles.
added that and some. Well, I didn't know if like the skeleton popped off. There's only like a bead of super glue holding that on. So I was like, "It's possible it could go," because everything dissolves over time. But eventually, I will put little tiny demons all over, adding more stuff to it, as in more armor plating and more guns strapped to it. But I don't have the money right now because it's like $40 a kit for all the little demons, and then probably another $100 kit worth of armor pieces and guns and shit to try and like work up and do scaffolding and shit. So we'll see.
Oh, okay.
It's done for now. It's not magnetized at the waist like it should be yet, but the arms move, the cannons on the shoulders move, the missiles move.
Well, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a $170 model. Get yours today.
Of course it is.
Well, Plus
and it's a piece in a video in a game or a board
plus
game.
the head from a $90 model, and plus a couple other things like another $50 box and a $70 box. So yeah, it's kit bashing gets really fucking expensive.
Oh yeah. I don't have any new models. I'm still working with my Katinga.
Oh.
So,
Yeah,
and the
Nathan has said that what a nightmare it's been to build a professional model kit he bought.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. There's going to be some imperfections, but I'm not going to advertise them. Some guys, we had our meeting this week.
Yeah.
And some guys went up north to a show. It was a judged competition. It was about 4.5 hours from here. It's why I didn't go because I just didn't want to. That's 9 hours of driving alone there and back, let alone 4 or 5 hours at a show. So, yeah, it was pretty interesting. Some of these guys had never experienced that before, and they said, "Well, that's an interesting criteria of judging they have there." Because there was some stuff that should have won and that didn't, and other stuff that did won, and everyone's like, "Huh?" So,
I'm not sure if Andrew's seen the plane that you guys all made.
oh, the Stuka. Well, hold on a second.
Because they all bought like a $10 model kit, and they're all supposed to like come together, and it's like, here's how I did with my kit.
No, I've seen those before because they do that at Warhammer events where they give everybody the same kit and they give them like an hour to like, paint it or whatever, and then they judge everybody.
Some model jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my Stuka. This is a $10 model kit.
That's
Everyone got
$10?
Yeah, everyone got the exact same kit.
Holy fucking shit, that's really huge for $10.
Yeah, it is. It's it's a screw together one. It's kind of a
Oh.
weird thing. It doesn't exist anymore, the company.
Oh.
But they, yeah. So John got a bunch of them at a discount, or at least sold it to us as a discount.
Because
Yeah, those are
I play this game called Tanks or whatever by World or something like Flames of War.
World of
Company.
Tanks.
Well, not World of Tanks. It's a tabletop game with miniatures.
Oh.
It's called Tanks. It's World War II and modern, but it's like made by Flames of War. And their models are $10, but they're probably like 10 times smaller than that.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're still well done and detailed, but it's like that's really fucking huge for $10 with all that. Do the decals and everything come with it too, or is that?
Yep. I used everything that came in the kit because I don't know anything. There are some guys in the club. This is their craft: World War II aircraft and armor, and so I know nothing about that. So I just build straightforward. This was actually styled after a plane.
When you say the decal, the swastika came in pieces because they didn't want
Yeah.
to distribute it with a swastika.
It's a 4-piece swastika you have to build because they and
See, that's how you gotta get people to buy that model. Build your own swastika, kids.
well, there's some kits that some guys buy, especially from the European makers, where you have to go buy your own like kit accurate insignia for it because all the countries that got their ass kicked by Germany in the Second World War, swastikas are illegal, including in Germany, because they ultimately got their ass kicked by World War II also. But like in America, Britain, Australia, all the countries that didn't lose to Germany, yeah, you can buy them with anything you want to. And it's actually a controversy in model making. Are you going to put that shit on your planes? Like, well, if I'm building a historically accurate plane from that period, yes. I'm not going to put it on my model of the Enterprise, but I'll put it on the.
This is the mirror universe.
I'll put it on the World War II dive bomber one, the German dive bomber.
What about Japanese models? Because they make a lot of World War II ships. I don't know about tanks, planes, and stuff like that, but one of my friends is building a Bismarck right now from a Japanese modeling company, and I didn't ask him if his decals had any swastikas or anything on it.
I would guess in Japan that would probably be okay, because the Japanese don't seem to have quite a stigma about what happened.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of all the anime that has a lot of swastikas in it. I don't think they
kinda
care
have
that
a
much.
thing about the swastika.
I mean, they're not like glorifying it. It's just like, here's a cool symbol.
Yeah,
And it easily represents evil.
Well, I mean, we're trying to get or between a couple of people, like a tabletop like battleship game started. where you like bring your own fleet and you go to Shapeways and get stuff that's like, I think it's like 1/350th scale or something around there. Just tiny enough you can play it like on an 8x10 foot table, which is still pretty fucking big. But somebody's like, oh, we should get like half scale models, and it's like, or not half scale, like 1/200th or something like that, something way bigger. And I was like, well, what size would that be? And he's like, well, we need a huge parking lot. and then we'd probably be on cell phones talking about, like, I'm firing my ship at your ship over there. And, like, let's see if it hits.
Let's just hijack some actual warships.
And I was like, that sounds cool and all, but that sounds like a horrible idea. Like, that. Especially, he's like, oh, how much do the models cost? He's like, I don't know, like $500 or $600.
How much does your car cost?
And yeah, exactly. Said because he was like, okay, we each need like 2 carriers, a battleship, like 3 cruisers, 4 destroyers, and a sub, or something like that. And that was their fleet. I'm like, can I just enter my car? Like, I'll put a big fucking flag on it and everything.
Can I just play Command and Conquer Red Alert 2?
Yeah, a lot easier.
But yeah,
I was told too, because we always bring our own models to show off. So I brought like my Apocalypse trucks and stuff, and one of the guys is like, if you put those in a competition, that would be categorized as miscellaneous. I was like, yeah, pretty sure it would be. But it's like, we need guys like you to judge miscellaneous stuff because we don't have enough miscellaneous judges. And I was like, well, yeah, eventually, maybe. I said, look, I'm not really great at this. I'm certainly not going to start judging other people. Like, wow.
Oh, that's what critics are. They're just failed artists. Thanks.
I mean, if you really want miscellaneous judges, just pull people off the street. I mean, like, there's people that have gone in competitions at, like, LVO and just bigger places like in Chicago that do paint competitions during tournaments, and they put in hours of work even during the road trip where they're just like trying to paint on the road, which sounds like the dumbest fucking idea ever when you're doing small miniatures in detail painting. But then they're like, they get to it and there's like 1,000 entries and the judges only have time, like, if they stop at your model it's special and they might actually consider it, but if they just blow past it you just wasted all your time on it. And it's like, so I don't know what the judging is like there. I imagine there's not as many entrants, so they actually have time to look at everything, and there's probably some more nuance to it. But
well, it's kind of like, I'm not sure. I've heard some. I know it can get very contentious, especially with the older guys that like they're retired, and they just work on these things like 7 days a week. And it's like, this because for me it's like, this is something I do on the weekends, and hey, if you like it, cool, and if not, I can understand why. But some of these guys like it when it's their whole life and they go to some competition and they don't even like place. Oh yeah, it gets, fuck those guys. they didn't appreciate, and it's like, yeah, well, you're going to
the Alex Jones of model builders.
Face getting all red. Still Illuminati model. But yeah, some guys it's like way more emotional than others. And I get it if you put hours and hours and hours in, but it's like, well, you're really doing this for personal enjoyment, and if it's not to everyone's taste, yeah, it's not to everyone's taste.
it's like, yeah, you're
when you're going to someone else's hometown and all their friends are there, like if you think there's going to be a lot of objectivity, well, you're nuts. That's not how it's going to work. Now, if you're going to some big nationwide thing in Chicago and you think you've got you're the only guy in the country who's got the killer, and it's like, no one's going to beat this, it's like, well, you're nuts, because there's going to be people out there that are going to do something crazy like, yeah, he carved the wing spars out of matchsticks. It's like, okay, you've lost. That guy's nuts.
Yeah, there's some really there's a magazine called White Dwarf. It's all 40K and fantasy and Lord of the Rings models, stuff that like Games Workshop does. But it's all, they have a content creator, or a guy at least that does that stuff. He posts stuff every month to their magazine. He just creates unique models out of bits, pieces, plastic card, mold, and clay. And he just paints them up, dioramas them, and makes like whole like 10, 12-man squads of unique models, ranging in size from that thing to like little tiny guys with guns. And like every month it's like, oh my god, how the fuck do I get that good? Like that's fucking amazing. Like the amount of detail and care that went into that, and like how did you think about designing that and molding that even, or putting those two pieces together, kind of thing.
Yeah, but he's not like a freight engineer on the side, though. See, that's the thing. That's his job. It's like he's not doing that and like working, on city plumbing. It's, because like I said, the guys that retire can really go deep.
Yeah.
And then they just have 7 days a week to do it, and some people are just better at things than other people. You've got to accept that in life. We weren't all given an equal deck of cards or an equal hand of cards to play, and but I'm pretty passive. I don't really like to compete with people. So to me, it's all kind of like, well, this is fun because I don't really have like a lot of passion or emotions about anything. It's like I enjoy this until I don't, and some people, it's like everything's just blood sport. It's like, really? This okay? Have fun. Just sit at home and angrily drink whiskey and talk about how everyone's, And like I said, there's one dude. There is a guy in a wheelchair who is a fucking prick, and he will piss you off. But he's trying to piss you off. Understand that when you're pre-warned about him and he comes up and starts his shit, you can be like, oh, fuck you, dude. But if you're not ready for that and you think, oh, this guy wants to talk to me about something, it's like, no, he just wants to be a prick. He's not. You're not going to learn anything from that conversation. But if you know that going in, it's cool. But if it catches you off guard and shocks you, you can really get mad about it. But
Oh yeah, because I mean, especially when you spend so much time and money on something, and the long drive and all that time investment, like you don't want to hear people just come up to you and just give you negative and just nothing but shit all the time. That's kind of demoralizing.
Oh, and there's people that will, absolutely, especially at those things when it's more than one group and there's a bunch of guys getting together that don't know each other very well. Insecurity is on full display. Everyone's worried they're the guy in the room with the 1-inch penis, so they gotta run up to you and say something like, you did this, or this, that wrong. It's like, thanks, good meeting you.
Usually I start off with like, hey, I really like this about your model. I think it's great because of that. I don't start with negative shit. Like, I don't just come in, like, here down to the podcast, like, Colin, I don't like this today. That's wrong over there wrong. It's like, I don't...
We call this the shit sandwich. We're going to start negative, have a little positive ham in the middle, and then end with some more shit.
Liquidy shit.
It's like, yes, there's times when negativity helps people build themselves up to be better, but this is not one of those times.
Yeah, but you got to understand, too, we're not on the dark side of 60, 3 marriages under our belt. Really, kids all hate us, nothing to show for our lives. Sometimes you got to realize, look at the whole package of what you're dealing with. It's like, oh, who did you come here with? Your son and or your wife? Oh, no, the bitch left me. My son, he's a queer over in Ann Arbor. It's like, okay.
Oh,
I can imagine where the rest of this life is going to go. You're right. My model sucks.
And I bet none of it's your fault.
Did you imagine all that happened because of your 1-inch penis, or was it because of your personality?
I got a 1-inch penis and a too big of a fist. I can't pleasure anybody.
1-inch penis, I feel I have to compensate by being a giant dick at all times. But that's...
jack off, I'll rip the head off my dick.
I think sometime here soon I'll be getting that Expanse role-playing game in here. And we'll play
okay.
We might do something with that.
Okay.
I thought we might do something where we like make characters and maybe we'll try to run a campaign with just 3 people.
Live.
I'll play. Yeah, I'll probably be terrible. I mean, I've heard some good podcasts that do that stuff, and I've never done it before, so it'll probably be a terrible thing. But
I've played D&D once, so my experience in role playing is very limited.
Yeah, I used to do that stuff, but I never followed the rules. Cause it's like, I like the story more. Well, we got to roll these dice. Fuck that, because those dice are gonna screw up my narrative. Just put them back in your little wizard pouch.
Well, the couple I've listened to, but usually the DM's cool. They'll find out like even if you like lose something, they'll like have like a clever way where like it works in your favor, but it's just like, oh, you take a hit, but everything ends up working in your favor regardless.
Yeah, that can be fun. That's when you get the real pull up their ass guys. Like, no, you've lost the hammer of infinite orgasm.
Well, the only DM I ever played with was cool because, well, not cool because that's what something he particularly did, but for some reason the mission we were on, we were in like this cave. There's a bunch of traps, so we got to the end of it, and it was just like a treasure cave full of goblins that were hoarding a bunch of treasure. So somebody in the party like cast a spell and put them all to sleep. So we murdered everybody, the women, the kids, the men in their sleep, and then stole all their treasure and made off with a shit ton of money. In which people are like, yeah, we made a lot of money, but it's like, but we killed children. Like, how does this resonate? And then
wait, didn't you hear I said money?
But the one thing I was wondering about, where to go extra with this. Like, should I get some special dye for the show, or do we just do like a number generator? You can get like a website. They'll just do all your rolls for you.
Well, I can. Okay, what do you just need? A 20, a 10, a 12, and a...
I will get you the specifics. I believe it's the 3d6 and I think a 20 side. I don't know.
Well, because there's like D&D blocks at the shop I go to where it's like a couple D6s, a 20, a 10, a 12, and an 8.
Okay.
And then like a D3 or whatever.
I'll get you the specification when we get it.
Yeah, because I can just always go pick up whatever, because they even have loose dice and stuff like that. It's like 85 cents a die, so it's not anything groundbreaking.
That sounds cool. They have 100-sided dice. Holy shit.
Oh, we have like gold-plated dice you can buy. It's like 3 dice for like $30.
Huh.
It's expensive as shit, but people buy them. I don't know why.
Well, you want to stand out.
Polyhedral dice is what they're called. That's crazy.
There's some really cool ones on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Like, you should go look at. They're like fucking amazing. Like, I would buy those dice. They're like fucking $80 or $100 for like a set of 6. But they're fucking amazing. They're well designed and look beautiful.
Yeah, when I went to PAX South, they had a lot of dice there, and like I didn't even do anything with them, but I was just like, that looks cool. I want to buy those. I remember the guy had a great sales pitch because he was talking about like most of these are cast and they come in a mold and you have to like clip it off. These are never clipped off. All the edges are perfectly round.
It's amazing.
It's like, that's a good sales pitch. You're probably lying, but that looks good.
You know what, to me would be a good sales pitch, since most people are so fucking indecisive about anything nowadays. They're just like, you know what the best investment in your life could be? A dice. If you roll above a 3, do that. If you don't do it. Just buy this dice. Make your life easier.
If you were that guy, you just walked around. It's like, well, what do you think, sir? And you just start rolling. No, I don't think I'm gonna do it.
I'm shitty Two-Face. I'm shitty Six Sides.
I mean,
I got a modifier on this. Price by $2,000. I'm in. Like, yeah, just make your car salesman homicidal.
Well, I got to roll a 3d20, but because of my charisma so high, I get an extra boost.
Sir, I just wanted to know if you want a large fry with your Big Mac. That's all I wanted to know.
I know, but it comes down to a life or death decision. The die must decide.
I roll a 16. I'll take an apple pie with that.
We don't sell apple pies, sir.
That fucked up my D20 system.
Yeah, we're through the fourth wall now. Start talking to the ceiling. They don't have apple. What do I do now? What you do, sir, is you leave the store. Wait, I have a Glock.
Okay, if I roll a D20, he dies.
I saw some of the Forgotten Weapons guys. The one channel he pairs up with is called In Range, and recently they had SHOT Show. It's a big gun show, and it was basically a Derringer pistol, but like it folds up and looks like a cell phone.
Okay.
And, like, you can fit it in your pocket, but then like a thing, and like the trigger's like hidden away, and then like the thing that folds down, it becomes the handle, and then you have a 2-shot pistol that looks like a cell phone.
That's cool.
I wonder how legal that is.
Oh, it's probably if you have a concealed carry weapon, it's
No.
probably legal.
Well, I didn't know how many jurisdictions, like, because the length of the barrel, the style.
Well, it's like the same size as a Derringer, so if a
Oh.
Derringer's legal, this thing is.
Okay.
Or you got that Glock that can fold into. It looks like a square. It doesn't necessarily look like a gun, and then you can just fold it back into a full size Glock. Have you
Isn't
seen
there
that?
one that looks like a credit card or whatever that you can use as
Yeah.
a gun too? And next, the gun that looks like a gun.
The gun. It looks like it's a fake gun, but it's actually a gun.
I so badly want to buy replacement parts for my Glock to make it into the Nintendo Zap gun.
Oh yeah,
Fucking-
that was yeah.
And it's like, but at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to fuck with that? Because that's just gonna cause problems.
I'll shoot this one more time than I would otherwise.
Oh.
Or I can just do a hillbilly conversion and go get neon orange spray paint and just spray paint my Glock and it'll still work.
They have a gun that says "We the People" etched on the slide. It's a 1911.
What a
From what company?
Car?
Yep. My dad owns one of the, or 1911 by car. He loves it. He thinks it's the best fucking thing ever.
there's other thing. So I heard the Rock Island Armory, which is a gun manufacturer, and I thought it had something to do with like Rock Island Arsenal. Absolutely not. It's a gun company in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah. That's always fun.
But apparently they make decent stuff, and you can get a 1911 from them for like $600. That's apparently fairly decent.
Yeah, that's pretty,
Because every other 1911
that's
is like
basically half price
$2,000
for
plus.
1911.
Yeah.
I think SIGs is around 1200 or 1100
Yep.
for their 1911, which I really want, but I don't know if they'll ever happen.
Nah. See, it's called the Ideal Conceal. That's the gun. That looks like a credit card.
Oh, that's weird. It's really weird.
See, it's folded up, looks like a cell phone, and then that's the handle and the trigger. And it's only got 2 shots, and it's only calibered in .380.
Give me all your money. Just let me Instagram my friend really quick.
And then they're planning to do a 9mm version too.
Huh. Just have it folded and look like an operating
That is
iPad.
a weird looking little thing. I kind of like that.
It's also $600.
Okay, I don't like it. $25. Yeah.
There's not enough
Well, I
parts
mean,
in that
yeah,
fucking
it's-
thing to justify that price.
I mean, it's probably majorly made out of plastic and some, lightweight composite metal. But yeah, it's the size that's gonna kill you on price.
I could almost get one of those Remington tactical shotguns for that kind of money.
Oh, you can get a Ruger. What was it? The Ruger. Was it Security 9 or what the fuck is that?
Security 6?
Yeah.
Security 7, security heaven.
Those are like $500, $400.
That's the same as a Texas boot gun that my uncle was looking at years ago that I saw. He's like, oh, they're out of stock. And I'm like, it's like a fucking tiny Derringer. It's a one shot. It's $500. He's like, yeah, they don't make a lot of them. It's like, oh.
Everybody wants to be the Demolition Ranch guy. It's like, oh, this thing looked cool. I bought it. He bought. The last one he put up, he bought. They're called Automag, or I guess that was the name of the company. He bought an Automag 3 and an Automag 5. So the Automag 5 just fired a 50 AE, and it basically looked like a 1911.
Yeah.
But it did not do well with recoil.
No.
Like there's no. It had rubber grips on the side, but not in the back of it, so it was just metal straight into your hand.
Yeah, it's like a Action Express slamming into your hand.
But the other one he really liked. It was neat because it was it fired a 30-30 like the M1 carbine, the same same round. But because that round is meant for a longer barrel, and this one's it's a short barrel because it's a handgun. It has a giant fireball because all the gas meant to be expelled across the length of a barrel is just shot out the end of the fucking gun.
It looks like a coronal discharge.
Yes.
Something. Okay. Yeah.
So he loved that gun.
Fun to shoot at night. Fuck 44 Magnum's fun to shoot.
Yeah, someday I'll shoot my dad's 44 Magnum. I don't know what day that'll be, but
The next time I come out to Iowa, I'll bring one. Just a big silly gun. Ridiculous. Fun.
yeah, I need to clean my guns. I haven't done that for like 6 months. I should probably get on that. So it's, you know.
Yeah, I still haven't mailed mine to get it. The the voluntary recall. I still haven't mailed mine in yet. So
is that the sear pin full auto trip hammer fix?
yeah, but plus also they give it a better. They're supposed to install a new trigger that's supposed to be better and a couple other things.
Why don't they just have you take it to a SIG dealer in town that do their repair there?
I don't know. They had the whole thing because you have to mail it in and stuff like that. And I never mailed it in, so I don't know if it's still good or not.
I say I know the SIG dealer in town's like Midwest Shooting Supply where I got mine, but other than that, I think the next closest is Shields in Iowa City.
But like, yeah, that thing you'd have to like whip it at the ground like a boomerang to get it to accidentally fire. But yeah, it's possible. Yeah, that doesn't happen with the Glock. But I guess SIG, because they got the Army contract, they don't care.
Oh, they got the Army contract?
Yeah, it's the M117. I believe that's the destination. But yeah, it's the Army's new handgun.
Oh, good for them. That means they'll stay in business for the next 20 years.
I believe just 9.
Oh, okay. So Beretta's out, huh?
Yeah, well, cause that gun has all the cool new shit. And it has the frame, like you can get different frames for like different size hands and stuff like that. But the big thing is that it costs like half of what a Beretta still costs.
Yeah.
So it's like it was no brainer. It's like, oh, because the Glock, whatever Glock put in for the competition, like it was real close, but they just undercut Glock in the pricing, and so that's why SIG got the contract, because they just undercut Glock.
Yeah. Well, they'll build a big factory here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Berettas, those are weird. Like the 1992 FS. I don't know what they call them in the military, but it's a 92 FS.
Yeah.
Yeah, they designed that in like 71. That gun's been around a long time. It was one of the first guns to use what they call like investment casting, where they put like they gave the metal properties where it would retain oil, and there was a lot of crazy stuff about the Beretta when it first came out.
Because also, wasn't there something like it doesn't have an extractor? It was like how it's designed, the bolt just kicks itself out or something like that, or the shell kicks itself out.
Yeah, that could be true. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking it up the other day. It was like, what makes a Beretta a Beretta? And then I got into like the Browning high power and stuff like that, because that was the first gun to use a double stack magazine.
Right.
And I always thought a Browning high power was just like a 45 but different, but like I didn't know it's a 9mm gun.
9mm, yeah.
It's double stack.
Got like 14 shots or something.
Yeah. It was it was like designed for some European police thing.
Yeah, but that's the Berettas are. I mean, the other thing that makes Beretta unique is they like been around since the 1400s.
Yeah,
like they go way back. But I have one. They're fun to shoot. They're not accurate, but they're fun.
No, they're not terribly accurate.
No, there's too much monkey motion.
Oh.
The barrel. It's one of those ones where the barrel like it locks back every time, and that's kind of.
Well, that's why. Yeah, those direct blowback pistols, because they're attached to the frame, they're like technically more accurate because the barrel isn't being like moved down and out in every cycle.
But the problem with those pin barrels directly bolted to the frame, they get hot as fuck because of how they're using the recoil gas. Because you know those Heckler and Koch, those L7s, the ones with the squeeze cocking ones.
Yeah.
That's like one of the most accurate automatic handguns you can get. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, I want one of those. I want one of those." There's videos of guys on range with those. They shoot like 2-3 magazines through them, and they're just like, "Shit, I got to put this down." Red hot. Because it was the Glock killed that. Because that was the police the West German police wanting a super safe gun. It's like they didn't want a safety you turned on and off because people always forget to put them back on or forget to turn them off, and they came up with that one. Which
And didn't they make him put a manual safety on it anyways?
I think,
or it was like a French government wanted it, but they wanted a manual safety as okay. Because I saw the Forgotten Weapons, and there was like 3 different designs for it. I think it was the French one that had a manual safety on top of the handle. What do you call it? The squeak cock. Yeah.
the one I fired that the guy shoots all the time, he had that whole squeeze cock mechanism just pinned back. He took it to the gun. So it's like that gun's just ready to fire as soon as you grab it. The mechanism was he just had a gunsmith just pin that down because all he would do was draw it and rack the slide. He's like, I'm not messing with that. Oh, and also another popular modification for those is an actual magazine release because they didn't have those. You had to do that weird European shit where you flipped it over and pulled the tag out and the magazine slid out. They did. I think some of the later ones did have a magazine.
Well, I remember a lot of European have a weird word like the mag release isn't like where your fingers are. It's like on the bottom back of the. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
okay.
That H&K had that. They have weird laws over there though. Some stuff. Because like the lanyard hole, like nobody fucking does that. A European gun almost has a lanyard hole on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Why? Is it
well, supposedly so you could put a lanyard on it, and if it got knocked out of your hand.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess.
So they can't take it from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense for like military and police use.
Yeah, that's civilians, not so much.
But at the same time, the lanyard's still long enough they could take it from you and then just turn and just shoot you with it.
Yeah, but he'll die and still have that on him unless the guy takes his knife off and cuts the lanyard.
I had never understood the lanyard because to me, it's just more shit to get in the way. And
well, I can see like definitely something like paratroopers and stuff like that. Like never lose it.
Yeah, that would make sense. But just police, no, that's just. Yeah.
Well, if you're using the gun as a melee weapon, also that would be very handy. Because sometimes you don't want to shoot the guy, you just want to crack him across the skull with a big piece of metal.
And then it might accidentally go off and shoot at the same time.
Yeah, you get 2 for 1 there.
Well, I knocked this guy out and I shot his buddy in the head.
That would be kind of cool, actually, to see like a John Wick style stunt where he takes a lanyard gun, just go.
just yo-yos that shit.
Like
well, I learned from a guy, like especially like a revolver guys. It's like if you're out of bullets and you got a revolver, you're holding a brick. You're holding a metal brick. And if someone's still fucking with you, throw the fucking gun at their head. It'll knock them out, or they'll stop whatever they're doing. Because if there's no more bullets around, it's just dead weight. I was like, that's a weird idea, but yeah, I guess that would work. I mean, that's if you're like you're desperate, you know.
Yeah.
Because these are the guys that would teach you how to put a magazine in and rack a slide back if say your left hand was shot or you couldn't use your left. You know, like there's all kinds of weird 1911 front sight techniques you can use to like get the magazine in and then rack it. And it's like, wow, what kind of zombie survival skills are we learning here? It's like if involved in a shootout at the OK Corral and your left arm is blown off, this is how you continue to fight. But anyway,
you scream rape at the top of your lungs until someone stops shooting it.
Well, I remember in the second John Wick movie, was the part where he's like all beat up and he has the Kimber 1911 and he does like his left hand's all fucked and he does like a one-handed brass check with it. It's like fucking amazing. He has the 10th strength on his fingers to do that. It's like he can never fucking do that. He's just like, all right, good. Pops it back in his hand.
Well, because I know the builds on those are tight, but can you replace the springs so it's not as?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, it was probably gimmicked, but
yeah,
he could probably just actually
do it. And also a Kimber, they cut a sight. There's a brass sight hole in the top of it where you could see right down anyway. So I don't know if they all have that. Mine does, but it just looks cool. It's like just like, you know, it's a 9 time out of in gunfights. Almost every time you reload, it's just a combat reload. You're not racking the slide. It's just like, well, I know I shot 5 or 6 times. I still got one in there. Whatever's left, kick it out, put in a fresh magazine. Like, you're not, people aren't just running them to empty most of the time, unless they panic. My favorite story was the one of the ones that happened here, where somebody robbed a bank in, I don't know, Wyandotte or something, had a great big shotgun. Guy was walking out of the bank. The police told him to stop. He just started firing at the police with the shotgun, and one of the cops shot the guy and killed him. And this was when they just got the Glocks, the 40 caliber ones. And the cop they were like asking him after it happened, okay, what did you do? You know, they were taking their 40. He was like, I fired his direction 6 times, hit him, he went down. They checked by his police car. There were 3 empty magazines on the ground. He didn't even remember doing it. He was like freaked out. He just kept firing into the guy. He emptied all, because he had 1 in the gun and 2 on his side. And he thought he shot like maybe 1 magazine worth of bullets. As if I can shot the guy like 20. But he didn't know. And the guy was actively shooting at him with a shotgun. So it's like, that's one thing I learned. It's like, wow, you just don't know what's going on, do you? You're just that scared, which seems perfectly reasonable to me. Especially when someone's coming at you with a shotgun and you got a pistol. It's like, you're in trouble. you better step lively, because you're gonna get killed. Literally no defense against a shotgun. That's why I like them. They level the field. I mean, for close and intermediate range.
Well, they sure worked wonders in bad times at El Royale, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is that streaming anywhere yet? Or
well,
or
it
do you
came
have to
out
buy
like,
it?
I don't know how many weeks ago. It might be on HBO or something by now. I'm not sure.
Check that out. But anyway, I think we're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
This week for the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Colin.
Andrew?
Goodbye, America.